The 15th season of Thunder basketball is officially here. After a long offseason since April, the players finally return right here to Paycom Center to kick off a brand new season of Thunder basketball with 2022 Media Day. These players are going to be bringing the energy all day long, posing for photos, videos, and going through interviews. And let me tell you something, we are excited about all of that as we welcome you into Paycom Center for Media Day, not just kicking off a new season of Thunder basketball, but also a brand new season of the Thunder Basketball Universe podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. I'm Paris Lawson, and we're joined today with our entire Bally Sports Oklahoma broadcast crew. I'm here alongside fellow sideline reporter Nick Gallo. We've got TV play-by-play Chris Fisher and analyst Michael Cage. Guys, it has been a long offseason. I feel like I haven't seen your faces in forever.
Yeah, well, I see your face all the time, Paris, but it is great to have our whole Bally Sports Oklahoma crew here, and it's amazing just to kind of set the stage for what this new season will be all about. Guys, how exciting is this day for you? This is like the first day of school, right?
Well, I remember last year the big theme was getting back to normalcy and just being back in the arena and seeing everybody, but I think that this year it's back to basketball, Michael, and I know that gets you pretty fired up. I don't know anybody that likes basketball more than you do, and I know you're looking forward to meeting this team, this newest iteration of this Thunder team, and we're going to have a chance to talk to them today.
Well, probably the guys that we're going to talk to next love the game a little bit more than I do right now. But I think for me, it's just been a big build-up. You talk about the draft, and then you talk about the summer league and how the players did and played out there, and then coming back, having that little lull of time to get ready for training camp. And then here we are. You can't have a training camp without a media day, and this is what it's all about.
Paris, you mentioned it was a long offseason.
Mm-hmm.
It's a busy offseason. I mean, you process the end of the year in April and May, but then you get ready for the draft lottery, then you get ready for the draft, and then it's summer league, and then before you know it, it's camp. And there was a lot that went down in those months.
That's true, and the Thunder really took advantage of this. Is the first real offseason in about 2 years. At the end of the season, Thunder general manager Sam Presti mentioned 150 days that the Thunder had to work with coming into this new season. And like you're mentioning, everything that the Thunder was able to do, whether it was summer league, draft lottery, and getting to work, getting a lot of work in this offseason, you could tell they were really trying to take advantage of it.
You think about a guy like Darius Bazley, who's entering his 4th NBA season. This is his first actual full offseason to get to decompress after a year, to work on his game, to continue to refine his body. We saw the strides that he made last year, just to take one example. And now you give a guy like that who's still so young, I think 21 years old, a full offseason, and there's a laundry list of players who are in exactly that similar type of situation as Darius Bazley. So going to be really excited to see the type of energy and juice that these guys bring to this season.
Mike, I'm curious for you. What's Media Day like for you back in the day?
Well, we just took a couple of Polaroids, and that was it. We went home, and we got ready the
Couple
next
of
day.
Polaroids, shake them up, wait for them to develop.
You did all that, shake it like a Polaroid picture, But, really, I think for me, when I think about training camp, I always talk about media day, because this is about as close as you can get to the media. I mean, this is about as close as you can get to a lot of the personnel. There's a lot going on here. You're going to see a lot going on today in terms of what the players are doing. A lot of the billboards you see, a lot of the action figures you see during our broadcast, the Jumbotron during the game. All that stuff is taking place today while we bring the guys through to talk to us as well. So that's really, I think, a lot of it, because when I played, you did it all at once. It was one day. But today, with the technology and what you're going to see and how this is all done, it's really down to a science. It's actually a fun day for I think, the players as well as the broadcast.
Yeah, those Jumbotrons looked a lot different when you were playing.
Black and white.
Not so jumbo.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned it off the top. The Thunder's entering into their 15th season in Oklahoma City. That's pretty exciting. And also crazy to think about how much was packed into those 15 seasons. You have to think a really long stretch of success for the Thunder. And right now, this iteration of the team beginning to climb that second mountain, as Thunder general manager Sam Presti put it, getting up that second mountain. And there's really a lot of room for excitement looking at that, especially with how young this team is and how much they've developed already.
Yeah, I mean, there's an 11-year slice of that 14 seasons that the Thunder had the second best record in the NBA, the 4th best record in all of professional sports in the United States, and 10 of those years the Thunder went to the playoffs. as we all know, in the life cycle of these organizations, those types of runs are very, very difficult to achieve. And now with the precipice of this new season, the young players on this roster, what do you guys think about the opportunity that this team has to, as Paris is talking about, kind of start to scale that mountain once again?
Well, I mean, it's a fascinating landscape because you have such a young group of players who are trying to establish themselves, but also take those steps forward as a team. And I think that there is going to be a competitive environment amongst this group of guys that's going to really push them forward, because we all know where they want to get to. They want to get back to the postseason. They want to get back to the postseason not just once, but to be in a position to do it over and over again year after year. And as they lay that foundation going forward, you've got a really interesting group of guys like Shai, who is going into year 5, guys like Darius Bazley, a little bit of experience. Then you've got last year's draft class with that year under their belt. You expect them to all take a step forward. And then you've got a whole nother draft class, Michael, that we saw get introduced over the summer. So you got these different pieces of the roster, but collectively, it's going to be a competitive environment, and the goal is the same, to lay that foundation so that you can have sustained success.
Well, I think you bring a great point. It's overlapping, and you like that, especially in a franchise where, you got one draft class that was terrific last year. I mean, come on, the Josh Giddey, Aaron Wiggins, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. I mean, Trey Mann, that's a beautiful class within itself. That's almost like a once-in-a-5-year draft class, but you get that. Then you come back, with that same draft, you get the number 2 pick, you get, number 11 pick, number 12 pick, correct me if I'm wrong. You got 2 J. Wills coming, and that's overlapping with what you just said. And that's back to your point with Shai, Lu Dort, who's coming back, really with the team investing in him and him deciding, hey, this is where, I want to be for the next 5 seasons with a new contract. I like that. I think that's very sustainable. And a lot of teams try to go for quick fixes, but if you're going to build a foundation, man, you are looking at some pretty solid stuff right now.
Yeah, you talk about building that foundation. We'll have a chance to talk to all of these guys about that when they come through and sit at this station right here to come talk to us. But one thing that also is really big about the Thunder Foundation is being a part of the community, right? This is something that has been a core pillar of the organization, and the Thunder has been out in the community in full force as of late. In fact, there were several players out in the community this past Friday at Lower Scissortail Park. Take a look at this, a brand new court dedicated in the newly renovated Lower Scissortail Park. Lu Dort was there, rookie Chet Holmgren was there, and even Thunder 2A player Lindy Waters III getting a chance to just be face-to-face with the community, sign some autographs, take some photos. It was a really awesome day out there, and really, I mean, we see it all the time, right? The community being such a big element of the Thunder and being a part of this city, but that's something that the Thunder really hasn't been able to do for a while now, and seeing these guys be able to really meet the city and the people of the city face to face, it's great to see.
And Paris, you did an amazing job of kind of capturing all of that in your story for OKCThunder.com. Definitely be sure to check that out. Our videographers do an amazing job of really tapping into the emotion, the excitement of these events. And the Thunder has been out, guys, in full force over the last few weeks since they've come back into market. We saw some great events at a Love's gas station where the guys were giving out gift cards, some really touching moments, and then, of course, a little bit of fun at the State Fair, too. So these guys have been out and really connecting with the people here in OKC. And as we know from being in this building every night, guys, that is essential to build those bonds.
Yeah. The State Fair. Oh, my stomach.
Too many turkey legs.
I went there. Let me tell you something, man. The funnel cakes and the cinnamon rolls with all the frosting. Yeah, I feel you on that one, Nick.
You're hurting for a couple days after that, huh?
I hope they did not ate as much as I did, But I think that speaks for what the community, really, the relationship with the community that the Thunder has always had. I believe it was court number 30.
30.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Amazing. That's I think that's the commitment that the Thunder have made to the community and the city and the state of Oklahoma. I think that's wonderful. Scissortail is a great park. It keeps ever expanding.
Yeah.
Just when you think it's like, okay, this is what the park is going to look like, something else happened. And that was wonderful with these 2 courts being presented.
And there's nothing like playing outside either.
Yeah, that's right.
The comfy confines of playing in the gym is one thing, but you go out and you play outside, it's got a whole different element to it, especially when you're young.
How
Yeah,
about
it's
a hoop with a view, too? Have you seen the photos of this where you got the skyline of OKC in the background, Devon Tower? I mean, just incredible.
Knock down a 3 and it's just picturesque, you know, the net splash.
Michael
Devon
wouldn't know anything
Towers.
about that.
Just me, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
just you lost it.
Just Paris.
But I will say, it kind of says a lot, too. Rookie Chet Holmgren was out there, and obviously he won't be joining us today as he was ruled out for the entirety of the season with that Liz Frank injury in his foot. But he's still out there, right? He doesn't necessarily have to be. He's not going to be on the floor for the Thunder, but still great to see him out there in the community, especially.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a chance to talk to him at Summer League and even after the draft, and he's just talked about how he feels very connected to this organization, this city. He feels kind of like a perfect match for it. And I think what's going to be really special for him to experience, he's never worn a Thunder jersey in this building before, but he is going to feel the love from this city, from these fans all season long as he attacks this rehab, kind of the same way that he was going to attack the season of his growth and development anyway. He's got that personality that just has so much competitive fire, and I think we're going to see that this year from him.
Well, this is still a part of his development, even though he's going to see the game as a student this year. I mean, you're still going to learn a lot by just watching the game. I mean, I tell you, a lot of times when I was playing as a player, I was always playing on the floor, but I didn't really start watching the game until the tail end of my career, where I could only play a certain amount of minutes. And I found myself watching the game more. So I think that's going to be really an interesting part of the game that he'll get introduced to in terms of learning the pro game, the travel, the relationship with the players. You know, he's going to certainly be there. I mean, he's a terrific player, terrific draft pick, because, you know, watching him play in the Summer League was really enjoyable for a lot of us that were out there in Las Vegas, just to see the potential that he has. But not only that, though, I think how he'll fit in with Lu Dort, how he'll fit in, even though we'll have to wait a season, you know, with Shai Gilgeous, Darius Bazley. I think that this is really, you know, the pressure's not on him to be the savior. I think this is, you can see how well-rounded this team is, and we're going to certainly talk to a lot of them this afternoon.
Yeah, I think Michael brings up a great point about this not being a completely lost season. There is an element that you lose in not being able to play, but making that adjustment, going from college to the NBA, there's so much to learn. Just the familiarity of the league, the routine, practices, just the grind of it all. And he's going to have to do it rehabbing. It's not an unprecedented thing either to have a high pick ultimately miss their first year. I mean, we've seen it with Joel Embiid. He missed his first 2 years.
Yeah, Blake Griffin as well.
Missed his. And so there is value in him being able to kind of assimilate to this level, which I know that we're all kind of looking forward to seeing. And he's still got a very bright future.
And the Thunder also has experience. I mean, you think about the corporate knowledge. You talked about this is season 15. There's so much leadership here that has stayed consistent over the course of time. There's experience keeping guys engaged throughout seasons, throughout injuries. You know, this is not a new group. This group here in OKC has seen a lot and has learned some best practices about how to keep guys, again, engaged and with the process and understanding how exactly to progress through a season when they can't play.
Hey, at least he's going to be able to be around the guys. Unlike Vit Krejci, who had to sit up in the upper deck
He's
during
in the
COVID,
stands
right?
with us. Yeah.
Don't take that for granted whatsoever. And there is something about just watching the game before you have to sit down or get out there and start playing immediately. Being able to watch the film, get integrated with the guys in the NBA, that is really something that has helped, that will be able to help a guy like Chet moving forward. And we've got our first player with us, Aleksej Pokusevski. Poku,
welcome, man.
Welcome
Good to
back.
see you, man.
Great to see you in a Thunder uniform. How has your offseason been?
It was good. It was good. I was working out pretty much all the time. I was at home working out, seeing my family and friends. I had a good time, and I'm pretty much ready, and mentally and physically.
Poku, I mean, this is, you're going into your third season, but this is your first real off season. How was that for you?
I mean, it is first off season that I feel for real, that I'm like having a full workout, and I'm able to make myself ready for the season and training camp. And I'm still like, you know, on my third year, going to the third year. I'm still 20 years old, having a lot to learn, and I can't wait to start the season off.
But you've made so much progress. I mean, I think each year we've seen that second half of the year you've come on strong. You've become an even better player, more precise player. What have been some keys for you in each of your first 2 seasons in order to make that step forward?
It was just, you know, getting better every day. You know, maybe results is not there every day or every week, but I gotta, you know, work through it. And I think I've done a great job of like working through the bad days, and I'm just gonna keep doing that. I want to have the season starts better for me. That's like my goal for this season, and having my team is trusting me from the jump.
Poku, take us to your homeland. What is it like in the offseason for you to go back home, having the NBA experience, and to be able to celebrate with your community? What is that like? And tell us a little bit about your day and how you spend your time there.
It's usually like having a family time and, eating some Serbian food and Greek food that I miss a lot here. I feel great going back home and just getting mentally, rest. And I'm still onto the basketball, watching games pretty much every day from the last season, from the past 2 seasons. That's something I do every day, and I like to do that because that makes me want to work on everything that I have to. And, back in Serbia, it's kind of good time for me, making myself ready for whatever it comes this season. I'm happy to be back here, though. It feels like my second home here.
Hey, speaking of the second home, we saw you out in the community last week. You were out at the State Fair with your teammates. What kind of bonding experience was that for you with those guys? And this is our first time really being able to go out and do that type of thing here.
That was great. After two seasons here, we didn't do much, but I'm happy to be able to do that and just get back to the community and help be there with the guys that are out of the supporting us out of the court.
Poku, when I think about positionless basketball, I think of you, because I'm saying to myself, when you step on the floor, I don't know what you are. I don't know if you're a point guard, if you're a small forward, if you're a 5. Talk about that evolution of your game, of how you really, I see you doing it all at times. And what do you classify yourself as in that regards as a basketball player?
I mean, there are things that I think about, like what I want to be as a player, and I really want to be something the team needs me to. If team needs me at a 5, I'm gonna try to be that. But I always want to be the same player. It doesn't matter what position I'm playing to. I think that's a great thing for me, and it put me in position to be on the court and anyway helps the team. Next season, I think is going to be different than the last 2 seasons. What I'm as a player, and I can't wait to just try everything out. And I believe in the coach and the staff that they're going to put me in the best position for the team.
You're 7 feet tall, and I see you bringing the ball up the court. You get a rebound. You go coast to coast. I see you making passes. I see you doing a lot of things that 7-footers just don't do on a night-to-night basis. You brought up the challenge for you for next year. What are the other areas you're looking to improve in stepping into the game? Is it on the defensive end? Is it more offensive-minded? What do you think, you personally?
It's probably like the whole game, but most of it's on defense and being able to guard multiple positions and just help, not put a team in a bad positions because I'm not a good, defensive player. I want to be there. And as of an offense, I want to be an efficient player, and that's pretty much it.
Poku, one of the things you also got to do this offseason was participate in Summer League for the first time. What was that experience like for you? What did you take away from that?
It was great. It was in the middle of, my workouts, and I just got there in the Summer League for me first time, as you said, and I'm happy to do that because it's a new experience, and I can always play with the guys that are coming in and see how they think, how they play, and I think it's a great opportunity to see where you are in the middle of the summer.
Michael was asking you about bringing the ball up at 7 feet because I think Michael's a little jealous. When he was playing, they didn't let him do that.
No.
But this is really a trend, and you're part of what's become an increasing group of players from Europe who have come over, extremely skilled. How are you seeing maybe that style of play, that skill set, really impact the NBA overall?
I think there's a big difference with into the NBA. Like if you look at 5 or 10 years, before, players are pretty much doing everything, and the team is able to put every player into the position where everybody can do everything, and that makes it hard for the defense because you got to switch. Everybody have to guard everybody, and not everybody's able to do that. And if you have 5 players on the court that can do pretty much everything, you can be a good team. You just got to connect everything.
Well, Poku, we really look forward to seeing you out on the floor this season. Crazy to think the progress that you've made over the 3 years that you've been here. Really excited to see what you're going to do this season. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aleksej.
I'll take that.
All right, we are continuing through Media Day. As you can tell, players trickling in. There's Kenrich Williams getting some photos done here, and they will also stop by our station here, Thunder Basketball Universe live stream. For those of you just now joining us, we're here inside of Paycom Center, bringing you everything that you need to know throughout Media Day, talking to players, and really just chatting about this upcoming season. And guys, I'm curious, we just talked to Poku. That's a 7-footer, Mike, like you were talking about, a guy who positionless basketball. What are you excited to see from him?
You know, it's really unusual to see a player like him and his development over the last couple of seasons. Because you got to remember, his first year in the league, he had no training camp, he had no off season, and he was a 7-footer. So he had a lot. There was a lot of unanswered questions. I think Pokusevski has answered a lot of those questions in the last couple of seasons. We've seen him shoot the three. We've seen him bring the ball up the floor under control and make plays. First season, I would see passes fly over the rim. You know, I would see passes fly out of bounds. Now, passes are like, you know, surgical, going right to the player, him going coast to coast. And I tell you, a hidden gem of Pokusevski that I really like is that he's a terrific offensive rebounder. And I think that's really a great part of the game that you don't hear a lot about, that if you can do it, it's a plus.
You know, Michael profiling all these little elements of his game is interesting because he has been a true example of development and sort of the ups and downs of what development is for a young player. We've seen him have his moments. We've seen him struggle. We've seen him go down to the G League and kind of work on certain aspects of his game and come back with more confidence. And that, I think, is very emblematic of a young player because he was so extremely raw with some of those plays that you were alluding to. But to hear him kind of talk about the fact that he's been working on his game, he knows he's been able to make progress, he's taken steps back, taken 2 steps forward. It's going to be interesting to see what he's done over the offseason, what he can showcase now in year 3 because he does have such a unique skill set, Nick, that you've alluded to. I mean, there is a flair to his game that you don't want to leave because there's a certain creativity aspect to it that I think can empower him and empower his teammates. So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and he's found a way to mesh that style, that flair that you're talking about with the rest of the team. And Paris, I kind of want to pick up on something that he was talking about that really reminded me of what Sam Presti discussed last week, which is, you know, that style of play where he's talking about all 5 guys on the court being able to make those shot, pass, drive decisions, but also the standard of play. He was talking about not wanting to be a weak link defensively, and making sure that there's that clear delineation of this is the standard that we're going to perform at night in and night out. We might not win every single game, but we're going to play to a certain standard. And over the course of time, that style may change.
Right.
But we have to live up to this inner kind of ethos.
And keep in mind, when he first, you know, stepped on, you know, campus here with the Thunder Universe, he was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, born outside of the country, 19 years old, during the pandemic year, trying to, you know, you look at where he's come in year 3 coming up. I mean, it's amazing, his development. Sometimes you have to, like, stop and look at each player individually and say, look how far he's come to get to where he is today, and hear him sit there and say, because I asked him a question, I asked him a trick question. I said, what do you feel you need to work on offensively or defensively? The first thing he said is, well, I feel I need to work on defense. I think that's terrific. You know, because all players need to work on their defense, every single player. And he admitted it right away.
And here's something, going back to your point, like you're saying, that when you first get on, you know, when you first join the team, you're learning a lot, right? A lot is getting thrown at you. And for Poku, it was a lot getting thrown at him in the middle of a pandemic, not getting a chance to have a full off season. And in order to really understand what it takes to be an NBA player, to be able to know what to give defensively every single night, you've got to be able to go through some things, right? You got to be able to learn a lot. And speaking of a guy who has learned a lot already, we are joined now by, going into his 2nd season now, Trey Mann. Welcome to our live stream. Thanks for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me.
Well, Trey, how has your offseason been? First full offseason as an NBA player. What was that like for you?
It was a great offseason for me. I feel like I got a lot better. I was able to travel a little bit, so I wasn't in one spot. Had fun, was with family as much as I could be. But overall, it was a great offseason. I got a lot better, and I'm ready for the season to start.
we saw you just bond so much with your teammates as a rookie, that rookie class. You guys seemed so tight. What was it been like kind of getting everybody back together here the last few weeks and kind of being able to reconnect in that way?
I mean, it was cool. That's like our first time of everybody being here. And it's great. We had the picnic yesterday. That was cool. But just building a bond, like you said, chemistry before the season started is big for us. But I miss those guys, and I'm glad to be back with them.
Trey, you look like you filled out a little bit. You put on a little weight?
That was a big thing for me this year was to, get stronger. I wanted to gain at least like 4 pounds, 5 pounds, and I did that. So, yeah, I did gain a little bit of weight, and I feel a lot more confident going into the season.
What was the biggest challenge last year, man? We got the chance to start as a starter, and then you did some stuff out there we didn't know you could do. We'll talk about that a little bit later, especially when you were elevating. But what did you feel at what point in the season you hit where you felt like, you know what, I can play this game? It just seems like you hit some point where it seemed like no one could keep you in front of them. You could get to the basket. You were shooting a deep three. What really happened that created that kind of confidence in you?
Really just my teammates and my coaches like having that confidence in me. Last year around this time where we were playing pickup and before training camp, they were trying to get me to shoot more threes. And I was still like trying to, find my way with the team and, get used to it. But during the season, it was pushing me to shoot more threes, pushing me to be more aggressive. And just their confidence in me gave me more confidence. So I say in the middle of the year, that's when I hit that stretch where it was like, I'm going to go out here and hoop.
That's what every shooter wants to hear. Tell me, coaches, I need to shoot more threes.
Give me a green
They
light.
never said it to me.
Give me that green
15
light.
seasons, they never said that to me. They get on the box and get it to him. You don't shoot. You just rebound.
But Trey, we saw last year there was a heavy emphasis, particularly from Coach, about your defense and making sure that you were in the right spot and you had the right calls down. What's the defensive mentality for you this year, knowing what a priority it was to keep you on the floor last year?
I know it's big for me. Like you said, that's what's going to keep me on the floor. That's what Coach has been telling me since last year. But my mindset is broccoli. That was a little thing that he came up with last year. It was
There's
just
our
like,
first broccoli reference
there
of the
it is.
year.
broccoli. I'm going to be the first one because he referred to it to me a lot last year. So that's
Thanks
my
for bringing it
mindset.
back.
Broccoli.
And you had so many of those broccoli plays. I think vividly about when you rip the ball out of Nikola Jokic's hands and you start that fast break. I even remember, your first summer league game. You step in there and take a charge. How much of that you're obviously working on it, but it's part of your DNA too, right?
Yeah, I say it's more DNA. Like in high school, I didn't have to take.
Careful.
In high school, I didn't have to take charges, but I was still taking them because it's like I know it's winning plays. So any chance there is for me to make a winning play, I'm gonna try to do that. So if that's taking charges, trying to rip the ball, fouling, that's what I'm going to do.
Trey, at the end of the season, last season, we talked about your getting stronger already.
Mm-hmm.
But on the offensive end, you said you wanted to work on your decision-making out of pick and rolls. What does that look like in trying to improve that in the offseason? It's one thing to sit there and get shots up and drill that over and over again, but working that brain, how does that work for you in the offseason?
It was just being creative. I have a great trainer, and Ant. I was in Miami with him. It was like he was giving me different reads. Sometimes it'd be me versus him. Sometimes it'd be me coming off a pick, having to score on 3 defenders or make the right read quicker, like him trapping me off of ball screens with 2 other dudes. And it was just like being creative with it, even though it's not really game realistic, like 4 people guarding me at once, but it's just like being creative and, putting me in the best game situations he can.
And last question for you. What was it like going back to the Villages for the first time this offseason?
Oh, it was great. I was out there with family, went bowling a couple times. And I went to my favorite food restaurant, VKI. Shout out to VKI if y'all ever see this video, listen. But yeah, it was great just being home with family and friends.
Awesome. Well, Trey, thank you so much for joining us. We're really looking forward to seeing you out on the floor this
Thank
season.
y'all.
Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
That's Trey Mann joining us, going throughout his stations in Media Day. Next up, a vet here. We got the one and only Kenrich Williams joining us now on the TBU. live stream.
It's okay,
Kenrich,
Rich. Good to be here
a
with
friend
y'all
of the
and see y'all.
podcast.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Yes.
How was your off season?
It was great.
I know it had to have been pretty good.
This is probably one of the best summers I've ever had, so it was great.
Yeah, congratulations. You know, you kind of planted your flag. You want to be here, the organization. Just tell us about that moment when you signed the contract.
Yeah, it was definitely surreal, just getting a call from Sam and just the coaches and just how they value, everybody here values kind of what I bring to the table. Man, it's extremely, it's a blessing, to say the least, to be honest with you. I was extremely happy, to be honest. There's no words for it.
We're all happy for you too, Kenrich.
Thank you.
Really happy
Understandably
for you.
so, considering your journey to get to this summer and
Yes,
put
sir.
yourself in that position. But to me, Kenrich, you embody a lot of what this Thunder culture is all about.
Right.
In working your way up, very blue collar, everything that you've accomplished, you had to work really hard for.
Yes, sir.
How much pride do you take in that, knowing how valuable your journey is to the team and to your teammates?
Take a lot of value in it. And the best part about it was I feel like I worked for everything that I got. So getting this extension, I feel like I put the work in for it. I've been here, this is my third year here, so I put in 2 years. And I take everything serious. So just to see them value that, it's extremely important for me. And like I said, I'm extremely grateful, forever grateful and forever thankful for this whole organization.
You talk about earning everything you've got. You know, it
Right.
actually kind of reminds me of something that Sam Presti was talking about in terms of the entire team last week, that, you know, this is the start of trying to kind of scale that next mountain of long, sustained success. And when that happens here, you guys will have earned it. You know, every one of these guys will have earned that opportunity.
Yeah.
What's that mindset like? What's that attitude like as you head into this year as a group?
Yeah, it's definitely our mindset going into the year. We know that it isn't going to be easy for us. We know that it's going to be challenging, just like it's been the last couple of years. But we got the right character guys with the right mentality. So I think that sky's the limit. Just as far as competing wise and just getting after it every night, I think that's something you can kind of expect from us.
Kenrich, you were a veteran last year. I mean, you haven't been in the league forever, but you were obviously older than that very deep rookie class. You got another deep rookie class coming in. What's going to be sort of the keystone advice that you're going to try to provide them, knowing that for some it's going to be their first training camp, for others it's their second, but having that veteran present, what are you going to try to ingrain in them?
Just the main thing I think is just compete every night. I mean, I think every time we step on the floor, not every night, it could be practice, you know, it could be the game, but I think if we compete, that'll take kind of 80% of what it takes to kind of get there and win games. Competing right now is the most important thing. Like I said, I know that some nights it's gonna be challenging. Like, it's gonna be challenging. We know that, but if we come out and compete, we give ourselves the best chance. So that's kind of what I'm been preaching on, and kind of what the coaching staff has been preaching on as well. Just continue to compete.
Kenrich, I'm curious because you obviously missed some time at the end of last season with that knee sprain. Sounds like you're feeling good.
Yeah.
You're ready to hit the floor running. What was your focus this offseason just in terms of your game and what you wanted to improve and get better at?
It's more of just kind of sharpening everything up. In year 5, you kind of know kind of what to expect, and you kind of know kind of what kind of player you are. So for me, it's just about sharpening everything up, continue to stay a consistent shooter, continue to just work on all the little things that you kind of need from a winning player. And pretty much the beginning of the summer, I was just kind of rehabbing, and I was able to get 100% healthy. So pretty much just kind of sharpen everything up.
Well, We can't wait to see what that looks
Right.
like out on the floor this season.
Yeah.
We missed seeing you at the end of last season, so excited to see you out on the floor.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Thanks so much for
y'all.
joining
Thank
us.
y'all. Good to see you.
Kenrich.
That's Kenrich Williams passing the torch off to the other defensive ace on this team, the one and only
What's up, Lou?
Lou Dort.
Good to see you, bro. Yes, sir. We're
Good to see
good,
you,
man.
too.
Thank you.
Lou, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing
course.
today? This is exciting. This is media day.
It is, yes. It's about to start. Doing media day. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
New
much.
contract.
Thank you.
How you feeling about that?
Feel great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an amazing moment. It's all the hard work paid off. And
Yes, it did.
I'm really excited to be here for the next 5 years.
Lou, you think about signing that first two-way contract to now, not that long in between those two dates. Just your thoughts on that wild journey.
It was a long journey for sure. And I feel like it's all the work really, and then this organization trusting me, and the path that I had is really crazy, and I'm really happy to be here.
You take it back further, undrafted. Just speaks volumes for you, my friend, how hard you worked in a short period of time. You had a short window where you created all this.
Yeah,
So,
it was.
sometimes, as a ball player, you got to say, hey, you know what? Hard work does pay off. So it puts you here, right where you're at.
And you just always got to keep your head up. It's tough roads. It's hard to stick in this league, and you always got to believe in yourself and keep your head up.
Is that a message you're going to tell to the guys back there at Arizona State?
yeah, the next one coming.
But Lou, knowing you, this isn't an end. This is a new kind of a fresh starting point in some sense. What's your mindset? What's your mentality as a leader on this team as you guys head into kind of this climbing the mountain that Sam Presti has talked about?
I'm saying just keep getting better, keep growing. I feel like we're still a young team, but for myself, just going to my 4th year, I feel like I've grown so much in this league now, and so just kind of help, some of the new guys, just to help them and talk to them a little bit through about everything, how, it's not easy in this league and all that.
Lou, when we sat here in this exact same spot last year, we asked you where do you want to take your game to next, and you said you want to be better at driving to the rim. We've seen your game evolve over the last 3 years. What's the next step for you, and where do you want to see the most progress from yourself?
I want to see everything. I feel like I can always get better, and at some point, I feel like this offseason, I spent a lot of time, again, shooting and, driving to the rim and, better reads, and I feel like just to put all that together and then to be able to have a great role, on this team, and I feel like that's what's going to help us, win games.
Lou, last season you talked about the creative ways that, kept your body going, that got bigger. Jiu-jitsu, some boxing. What were you getting into this offseason?
I got into tennis. Tennis was probably the one, yeah. But, because of my injury, most of the time I was doing my rehab for my shoulder, and now I'm back and healthy. But, I kind of got into tennis a little bit this offseason.
Got a nice backhand, little forehand, backhand action?
I'm still working on it.
Okay.
And that's a good segue into pickleball when you get older.
Right, yeah.
Hey, speaking of those pickleball courts, they're right down there next to the brand new courts at Scissortail Park. Yeah, what was that like for you on Friday, getting out and getting into the community?
It was great, just the fact that it was so long since we got to see the kids and be able to be in touch with the community, and just the court was so amazing. The kids were so happy to see that, and then I heard it's the 30th court in the state of Oklahoma, and it's so big, and I felt like this state and this city is growing so much, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
You were able to give back to some kids in Montreal too. Tell me about that experience and what that meant to you.
It was big. Just a camp. I feel like a lot of kids see me on TV, and I'm not really home. And it was just great to get with them and play and, have fun. Some of the kids were so happy just to see me, and at the same time, there's not a lot of basketball players that made it from where I'm from, and just to go back to my city and give back, it was great.
And Mike Muscala stopped by, right?
Yeah, he was there too. Yeah, so Mike Muscala showed up. All the kids were happy to see him. But for them, Mike is like a giant guy. So tall. So they was all happy to see him.
That's awesome, Lou. I'm curious because this will be your fourth season playing with Shai, Darius. There's some continuity building with this team. What's that like when you think about where you guys first started in terms of coming together as a team and where you are now?
We're so close. We're like brothers, and we spend so much time together. Even off the court. And I feel like we're so comfortable now. Coming into this season and playing with each other. And I feel like we already built our chemistry, and I feel like we got to pass this along to the rest of the team. And I feel like we're already doing a great job doing that, and we can't wait for training camp.
Lou, year one, you started out as a defensive player, defensive specialist, and we saw the evolution of that. Then you added the three-point shot. Then you added the drives to the bucket. You became one of the top three-point shooters on the team the last couple of seasons. What's next for you, man? I mean, come on. You talked about the defense, but you've already got defense.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
I feel like it's all that putting together. I feel like I can still improve, and even though, I'm a good defender, I feel like I can do more and, still getting better on my shot and decision making. And I feel like just really putting all that together to be able to fit the team and to help my teammates. And I feel like that's my biggest
And you
goal
throw
this
in a
season.
couple of game winners too, man.
I can throw that in
Come
there
on,
too.
man.
I mean, we love to see it. We love to see it.
You got a popsicle stand upstairs. You're selling everything to us, man. Gosh, I've seen him do everything the last couple of years.
And after every offseason, you come back better. And we are so excited to see what you bring this season. So thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you.
Can't wait to see you on the floor, number 5.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank
Have
you.
a good training camp.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy Media Day. That was Lou Dort joining us on our Thunder Basketball Universe live stream presented by COOP Ale Works. Thank you so much for joining us. Media Day is continuing here, guys. I don't know if you can feel it. There's a lot of energy happening. I hear guys yelling behind me at this station where they're filming all the stuff that we'll see on the Jumbotrons throughout the season. A lot of fun energy here today already.
Yeah, energy, the presence of the guys.
Speaking of energy.
Speaking of energy and presence, I mean, what a segue. Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams, welcome.
How close do I need to hold this? All right, here.
You're good right there.
perfect right
yeah,
there.
You're good right there.
All right,
Just
good.
don't fall off.
Yeah, I'll try not to.
We don't need an injury on Media Day, that's for sure.
All
That's
right.
right. Well, Jalen Williams, welcome to our Thunder Basketball Universe live stream. Your first ever Media Day. Just what are your initial thoughts so far?
It's fun. It's crazy. Just putting on my jersey, really getting in the locker room and putting it on was really mind-blowing. I took a picture to send to my mom and my dad, of course, and it's just really cool just doing all this. That was fun doing that over there. It's fun doing all this. It's crazy.
Were you the one screaming or throwing the ball over there?
Little bit.
Oh, okay. No,
We should have known.
We should have known.
Yeah, it was.
Jay, well, just this experience so far. I mean, you went Summer League. You've been out in the community. We saw that amazing event where you're giving out gift cards. You're getting to know your teammates. What's this whole process been like for you?
It's been really great just getting to know the guys, playing. We've been all playing together. We've done stuff outside of what goes on in the facility. It's just getting to know everybody, getting to know the area, getting to know the staff, things like that. The community has been great. It's been really great.
How about that state-of-the-art practice facility? You kind of getting yourself oriented. You get food cooked for you every day after practice. What's that been like becoming a pro in that sense?
It's been really great knowing that I have everything I need right there. Go right in. You got food. You got the locker room. You get drinks. You get treatment, weight room, whatever you need is right there. And just having the access to that has been great for me.
What about just getting settled as a person, right? I mean, you don't have to come far, right? You're coming from Arkansas, but just getting settled in Oklahoma City. You've had a pretty solid off season, some time. What's that been like for you?
It's been great living in my own house. Got all that going. Set up the rooms. I'm finally finishing everything in there, and just having my own space, my own room. It's been great. And
a gaming room too.
Yeah, got a game room.
Of course.
Just set that up, and then meeting my neighbors. It's all been really cool. Everybody's been super nice, and it's been great being here.
So you got pre-draft, draft, summer league. Has it slowed down for you yet, man, or is it still like going by real fast?
Honestly, it's still going by really fast.
Going by
but
real fast.
It's great. It's everything you look forward to. So it's like I'm ready for it. I'm ready for whatever's coming at me.
How has the organization helped you settle into that role, that lifestyle, that environment that you just mentioned over at the practice facility? How has that really, what the team has done to help you acclimate yourself to Oklahoma living?
They've been really helpful, just telling us what everything's going to look like. Like, we know what the next day is going to look like every time. And really, the older guys, not even the older guys, like Trey and them, the last year's guys, they kind of been helping us rooks and telling us what things are going to look like what weight's going to look like even at the beginning, or what hooping's going to look like the next day, just things like that. And they've really been helpful for us.
Jay, well, for all of us here with the Thunder that are trying to get to know you and the fans that want to get to know you, there's a undeniable sort of positivity around you. You always have a smile on your face. You're full of energy. Where does that come from?
Really is just trying to be happy. I think that you can't be your best self if you're not happy with what you're doing. And to be the best basketball player you be, your mental is really important. And if you're not happy doing it and you're not going in there with the bright mind, bright head, like, you're not going to be your best self. So I just try to stay happy at all times.
You know, you mentioned that, and I think back to what you told me during Summer League, where in college, you fell in love with the process of getting better, right? You fell in love with everything that went into improving as a player, the hard stuff that nobody sees, being in the gym at, weird hours in the morning, right? How did you do that? How did you develop that love for the process, the unglamorous side of basketball?
Really, if I'm being honest, I lost it for a little bit. I lost because I was used to being the best player on the team. I wasn't used to coming off the bench or not playing in games or not being looked at when there was a problem on the court. And I really had to find love something else. I found love in getting better for myself, getting better for my team, for everybody around me. So when time came, I was ready to go, and really just fall in love with that process, seeing my body change. I dropped like 10% body fat in the season, like doing things like that, seeing my body change, seeing my shot get better or me getting in better shape, those things like that, seeing the results of what I'm doing on the court really just made me fall in love with everything.
You have throughout this whole time, though, that basketball IQ. I talked to your high school coach who said at 6'10" you were bringing the ball up the court in the state tournament. We saw you running kind of that point center at Arkansas. As you look at this opportunity to play with a team that kind of likes to be 5 out, how excited are you about that?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. I'm trying to do whatever I can to fit in with the team, do whatever I can to help the team, and knowing that they play an offense that I kind of feel like I'm confident in, it's great for me.
All right, well, thank you so much. We were really looking forward to seeing you out there on the floor for the first time, and I think we're going to hand it off to your teammate, Theo Maledon, right here behind you.
Thanks so much, J-Will. All right, Theo Maledon joining us. Theo, thanks for joining us. I keep thinking about your off season. You've been all over the place, it seems like, from country to country. You even played for the national team. Just in a word, reflecting on your off season, just what has it been like for you?
It's been eventful for sure, but I think it's been good. I had the part of the time where I had to get the chance to work individually, get better, and the second part where I was with the national team, I was playing more 5-on-5 competitive basketball and trying to win for our country. So it was a great summer for sure.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that national team experience because obviously you've been able to do that before. But at this level, after playing a couple seasons in the NBA, what was that like for you?
It was great just to go back to Europe and experience a different style of play, see the FIBA rules and everything that goes with it. I was really surprised by the fans over there too, where they're like diehard fans for their country. So it was really a fun experience for sure.
And then you got to play alongside some guys like Evan Fournier, Rudy Gobert. Just getting a chance to see those guys, I imagine, was pretty nice.
Yeah,
as well.
it was good to be able to see what they're doing and why they are where they're at right now. Especially Rudy Gobert on his defensive end. But it was good to learn from those guys and the guys in EuroLeague as well, the French players that plays in EuroLeague that have been there for a long time.
Speaking of Frenchmen, what were your thoughts when the Thunder drafted Ousmane Dieng, and was he picking your brain about the French national team experience too?
Oh yeah, for sure. But as soon as he got caught, I was like, oh, we got another one. So
there we go.
So it was pretty fun, but really excited to have Ousmane here. I think he's got a lot of great potential, and he's really excited to be here. So it's really going to be fun for sure.
He's so young. You came over here in just one of the wackiest years in NBA history. Are you able to kind of put your arm around him a little bit and say, okay, this is how things are going to be here in the NBA, and help him through that transition?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm going to try to help him as much as possible for him to have a great transition year. I think he's already like a great working guy that want to learn a lot. So just going to be here to give a couple tips, but nothing more than that.
You and Pokusevski were part of the same draft class. We talked to him earlier. You didn't have a training camp your first year. You didn't have off-season workouts your first year. Second year was still kind of getting used to things. That was basically your first camp. You're facing your third camp right here. What do you feel you need to do to really, I think, step up to that next level? You know, because obviously you've had some challenges by not having the off-season training that a lot of guys have had in the past. What do you feel, you know, that next step for you is?
I think it's just going to be like what I've been doing so far. Still learning about the guys. Still trying to get better. As
you had some big games, though, in the second half of the season, man. I saw you drop some nice threes, drive to the basket. You had some pretty solid games, and that really showed that you could be a point guard in this league as well as a scorer. And that's around not having that first year where you really lost out on a lot of development because it just wasn't allowed because that was the first year of COVID.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't get that much at all. We went straight to training camp, and even that, since I was traded from the draft, I couldn't start training camp until later on.
Late start to the season that year as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was eventful for sure.
But you overcame it, though, is what I'm pointing at. I saw some flashes of you last year in the second half. I said, man, this kid's going to be a player. I mean, just how you were playing and knifing through NBA defenses, taking the three, showing that you can knock down the three, which really gets defenses up on you, and you have the body and speed to beat them off the dribble.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
Yeah, keep it up.
Thank you.
Theo, we look forward to seeing you on the floor. Clearly, we're all excited about it. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Theo.
Thanks, Theo.
That's Theo Maledon joining us on the TBU live stream here during Media Day. And now joining us is Darius Bazley. Darius, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
I feel like this guy's old now.
Seriously.
He's like in his fourth year, and he's like been around the longest, one of the longest tenured players at 4 years.
That's true.
Which is remarkable.
But finally, a normal offseason for you, one that you could actually catch your breath a little bit. What was this past summer like for you?
Like you said, just long, but very productive. And it was fun, too, as well. Just like everything is starting to really get back to normal around the world.
Yeah, at the end of the season, you were mentioning how excited you were just for this full off season and getting a chance to really work on your craft and get into it. Did it measure up to what you hoped it would be in terms of getting a chance to just make the most of the time?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I made the most of it.
Yeah, awesome. What did that look like for you just in terms of, because Coach Daigneault also mentioned for you, you'd be able to go off-site a little bit more, maybe not stay so close to the practice facility the entire offseason. What did that look like for you and how you spent it?
Yeah, I spent time in Phoenix, and then I spent time in LA. So it was like half and half. I did 3 months in Phoenix, and then I spent another 3 months in LA.
Nice.
Darius, last year you really took that responsibility of guarding some elite players at really a variety of different positions. As you look back at that experience that you got, how proud are you of the way that you handled it? And then, kind of how energized are you about the opportunity now heading into this year?
I thought it was really cool. It was a challenge that I asked Coach for. I remember during training camp. Definitely got some experience, and I'm super excited now coming into it just because of I feel like changes I've made to my body are just going to help me more than anything along the way going forward.
To your point, Nick and Darius, you'll probably remember this, but we were in Chicago last year, and you blocked DeMar DeRozan not once, but twice on 2 mid-range jumpers. And it was part of your game that we hadn't really seen, but it seems like, just to follow up Nick's question, you took a ton of pride in your defense over the course of last season.
Yeah.
How can you keep that up again this year?
Just coming in with that type of mindset, just kind of taking those challenges personal. I think because of my versatility on the defensive end, I see a lot of different guys in one night. I'm never just kind of on to one guy. I might have to guard a 4 but be switched on to a point guard multiple times during the game. So just taking that kind of stuff personal. And also for me, I like it just because I like giving the coaches and my team a sense of security and trust that when I am switched out on different people or whatever it is, that they just kind of have this sense that they know the job's going to get done more times than not.
You also showed, too, last year, I thought, you established the physicality of the game for the Thunder. Was I right in saying that? I saw you go in there not afraid to take the contact, taking the contact, getting an and one, and then going back in there again knowing, you know what, you're going to try to hit him upside the head because they always try to do that. I thought you just really stepped up your physical play last year. Am I right to say that, to see that in your game, both on offense and defense?
Yeah, that was the mindset. Coach Mark, he did a good job of influencing that and just kind of
telling me to play with more force, more, physicality. That's like a word that was used a lot last year, just not for me, but for the whole team. Just playing like physicality, like having that mindset. It's not more so who's stronger, who's bigger, but it's kind of the mindset. It's like I'm going to be physical.
And you did it without getting into foul trouble, which is really tough because you're still a young player.
Yeah.
And you came in as a really young player in this league, so really showed that you played smart. Because, many times the Thunder needed you on the floor. They couldn't afford to, get you in foul trouble, but yet and still your physicality or your level of physicalness on the court did not drop as a result of trying to stay out of foul trouble. So, just to see that kind of development in your game, which is something I don't think coaches can really, we don't teach physical play in high school.
No.
In college. It's just something you got to want to do on your own, man.
Yeah, it's just something
you're going to get hit upside the head and the ref ain't going to call it.
Yeah.
And you're just going to go, look, man, I'm getting hit upside the head. You got to start blowing that whistle.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start blowing that whistle.
And speaking of physicality, Darius, just to all the points that Mike was making, you've made a lot of strides over your 3 years with the Thunder, just physically, mentally, and as a leader on this team. When you look back to rookie Darius, to where you are now heading into your 4th season, how proud are you of the strides that you've taken as a player?
I don't really like the word proud, but I mean, I've been pretty pleased with, the growth and just knowing like where I was to where I am, but also knowing like how much more there is to go as well.
And recognizing the work that you've put in, right? Like we know you've been putting in a lot of work in the gym and in the practice facility. That type of work, I imagine, you got to be pretty pleased with as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And you've been on that journey with guys that are kind of in your same age group, and this team is so tight. What's this been like for you heading into another year with guys like Lou and Shai and these guys that you do things together off the floor, too? It's more than teammates, it seems like.
Yeah, all of us are all pretty close. I think it helps a lot just because we're so young. It helps, and it's like also fun when you just around the same guys, you know what I mean? And especially like an off season like this where it's super long and you get to come back and you're around, the family again. That's what it feels like. It's just like a family reunion, because during the season we're around each other more than we are our actual families. And then, you get that time off during the summer, then you come back. But yeah, like I said, we're all pretty tight just because like it's a pretty young group and, we're all around the same age. Everybody loves everyone.
Family reunion is a perfect way to put Media Day. I mean, that is exactly what this is. So, Baze, thank you so much. We're really looking forward to seeing you out there on the floor again. I know Thunder fans are too.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Darius. That's Darius Bazley joining us on our TBU live stream. If you're just now joining us, we're bringing you all throughout Media Day. A lot of things happening here today. Stations with photo, video, interviews, and press conferences. And speaking of press conferences, we're joined now by our very own Royce Young. Royce, thanks for joining us. This is Media Day. A lot's happening. Where have you been?
I've been in the press conference room.
Nice.
I listened in on Coach Mark and Shai, and then just kind of hanging around, talking with players and catching the media day vibes. It's awesome that it's like regular Media Day again.
Yeah.
And it like feels very normal, and the energy's there, and it's just really great to be back at it.
Royce, just give us a little recap. What did you learn from Mark and Shai and some of the guys?
I think that one of the things that really stood out to me that Mark pointed out, Nick, is just you can kind of take for granted the fact that this is an actual off season. And he noted that there was 168 days, but he also kind of put it in perspective that this is like his first offseason really as a head coach.
Yep.
To have an opportunity to dive in to like player development plans and connect with guys, go visit them where they're working out. And I don't think that can really be understated to kind of have that opportunity, just even from Mark's development and as a coach, to get to kind of experience that himself. But, I think that that's something that he talked about a lot of these. I got a fly just after me right here.
I mean, everybody's excited.
But I think I actually caught that. I caught that fly. That was incredible.
I saw that.
You don't get this anywhere else besides the Thunder Basketball Universe live
I've been trying to
stream,
catch him for an hour.
That was amazing.
Show up
and
in
then I
2
let it
minutes.
go. I let it go, unfortunately. But as I was saying before that fly so rudely interrupted me, One of the things that Mark also pointed out is that he's noticed that with a lot of these rookies, just in the 3 months that they've kind of had them as part of the group, you can just start to see just the gains being made, not just in terms of their body, but just beginning to understand what it means to be a pro, what you need to work on, and that's something Mark really talked about, was that developmental aspect, and clearly that's going to carry into the season, because you can work on it all you want in the summertime. You really start to sharpen that knife once you get into training camp and start playing real games.
Can you talk about just kind of the vibe you're feeling from everybody in terms of, Darius Bazley mentioned it feels like a family reunion, right, on Media Day. Everybody's seeing everybody for the first time. When it comes to the players and what you're seeing from them over there in the press conference room, what's kind of the vibe you're getting from them?
Well, Paris, I think that goes into just the continuity element, and that's been a focus of this team, and it's something that's really hard to achieve in the modern NBA, is having a group together that can kind of grow and develop and play multiple seasons layered over the top of one another. And that's something this group is kind of begin to achieve. They're a few years into this now of being able to get to know each other, build that on-court chemistry, but also off-court chemistry. And I think that's something that you really feel watching these guys go station to station, is they know each other. They're friends. They've been around each other. They've got that same locker room. And then you bring in new players, 4 new rookies to add into that. Yeah. And they can really kind of slot in and start to feel that chemistry and vibe that these guys have already kind of had with one another. And I think that's the beauty of continuity, is that you can carry it over with a core group and then add in new pieces, and they don't feel like outsiders. They feel like they're part of the group very quickly and then kind of hit the ground running.
And one of the reasons for that, Royce, is when you have guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who are leaders of this group that are so welcoming, they have that joy that just springs out of them. It's a very easy environment for people to assimilate into. I'm just curious, we learned recently that Shai will be out for the next couple weeks and be reevaluated before he's available to play. Just your thoughts on what he had to say in his press conference today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things I'll point out too, Nick, is that, Mark was asked about Shai and kind of his leadership, and he called it transcendent. And that's just kind of the culture driver that I think Shai has really kind of put himself to be. He's not the most vocal guy. He's not like crazy boisterous. People that know Shai know he's incredibly optimistic. He's really funny. He's really energetic. But he's not somebody that is going to be out there just hands up at his face, barking at teammates. That's not necessarily his style. But he is somebody that really sets a standard for culture. And I think that a lot of the players, as Shai has grown into leadership, you forget, it feels like he's kind of the guy that's been around. He's only 25 years old, but he's just got a mature spirit about him. And you really felt that when he was talking just about his own personal goals, his ambitions, what he focused on in the summer. He was asked about his approach going into summer, whether or not he really tries to hone in on one thing or he looks at a baseline. And just his answer with that was just such a poised, mature, the broad perspective that he takes on that, I think is unusual for a guy like that. And I think you see that sort of thing in a public press conference. That's clearly what he's doing inside the walls of the practice facility and really driving with this group in the locker room, is that he might be a young leader, but he's got an old leadership mentality to him.
He has that great balance of being able to be in the moment with the team, but also zoom out and see the big picture. Mark Daigneault really said that's kind of rare to have, right, in any kind of player and a leader especially. But one other thing that you were talking about when it comes to continuity and guys being able to play with each other for a while now, this offseason, it was a full offseason, right? It's a long offseason. And part of that was guys getting a chance to connect together, kind of around the country, right? Like Shai was able to play with some guys and get a chance to know his rookie teammates and be able to connect at Summer League too. That sort of stuff is going to be extremely valuable coming into this season.
Or even playing for his national team, which is something that Shai was incredibly excited in. And anybody watched him, he was awesome for Team Canada.
So fun to watch.
The best player on the court at all times. And but that sort of thing just kind of, again, kind of sharpens your tools. And, they got together, like you said, they had, youth camps that they were able to do. Again, I mean, you can't underestimate. I know a lot of people might just think that those things aren't a big deal. For the players, those are fuel chargers. Those are refreshing. That kind of it really drills down to you to this is why I wanted to be a professional athlete, is I get to do this sort of cool stuff. And so I think for a player like Shai, he talked about how long the offseason felt for him. He was it felt like it was half my year, which it was.
Yeah.
It was a long time to be away from it because it hasn't been this way for the last couple of years. This is the first real off season. So you get to do those sorts of things, but it also leaves you really, really chomping at the bit to get back into training camp, get back and start to feel those competitive juices again.
Lou Dort is one of the guys that you're talking about there too. He signs this contract extension. He's an undrafted guy that was on a two-way contract. He signs his contract extension, gets to go home to Montreal and host this camp for kids that were probably exactly like him, who, if not somebody bringing them the opportunity to get some tutelage, they might not have a chance to get any sort of basketball experience at that young age. You did an incredible episode of The Path on him last season. Just can you put into perspective maybe Lou Dort and where he's at coming into this season?
I mean, obviously everybody's just so thrilled for Lou, and to have him as somebody that you can really anchor the group around. He is clearly the embodiment of, I think, of what a lot of people picture Thunder DNA to be. Just a hard worker, grit. He's an underdog type of player, self-made guy. Just the type of player that he is on the court all the time, no possessions off ever. He's that way basically everywhere else too, and that's why the Thunder obviously wanted to really try to make sure that he remains part of this, because you want somebody like that driving your culture, carrying your culture, and Lou Dort just represents so much. So I think for a lot of Thunder fans, Lou became kind of a cult figure very quickly. He was kind of this meme player where everybody was like the whole Dort vibe, and he quickly proved that like he's not some sort of like NBA Twitter inside joke. He's a real player. And what I think is so cool about him is just the trajectory that he went on as a defensive stopper. And I think so often about the bubble and the struggle that he had in that Rockets series where they dared him to shoot and they put it on him. And those were low moments for Lou. And for him to respond and have the Game 7 that he did, leading the team in scoring, and that set him on just a rocket path, no pun intended, to become the player that he is. And I think that just shows his mentality, his drive, his commitment. It's awesome that Lou's going to be around for a long time.
You tapped into something that I kind of want to talk about, and I'll bring the group into this as well, but Lou is just a Thunder player, right? Yeah. He's that guy that kind of embodies the Thunder in multiple ways. Think of a guy like Shai, just a Thunder guy. Kenrich, there are a lot of just Thunder guys on this team, and it really speaks to the culture that the organization is building when they're bringing these players in and what they want to establish in terms of not just representing the name across their chest, but also the city that they're in.
Yeah, I was going to say not just Thunder guys, but Oklahoma guys.
Right, and I think that this is something that you talk about Thunder guys, and I think what's interesting is that there's no one way to define even what that is. Yeah. Like, you can be that in so many multiple ways, and Michael could speak to this and how important this is in an NBA locker room, of having guys that can really embody your culture, but do it in their own personal ways. And, you can be a Thunder guy. You can fit so many of the characteristics and traits that you want with a player, but it doesn't have to be like cut from just the same exact cloth. It can be in a lot of different ways. And I assume, Michael, that's probably pretty important in the locker room.
You are spot on, because I think that spells chemistry. You don't have to be, exactly like each other, or, necessarily have the same title, but still, in the same pushing or swimming in the same direction as a player. And I think that continuity, chemistry, those words you start hearing around All-Star break become important, because the season pulls at you. First part of the season, you're happy. Yeah. You're excited. And all of a sudden, you see this guy 50 games later.
Why'd you look at him when you said that?
Hey, man. You looking forward to All-Star break already?
That's where that thing you're talking about comes in, where these guys all fit together. But I think that, too, Royce, this is my question I want to ask you. Sam talked about last Friday. Give us more elaboration on this. I think he spoke to the tune of save your predictions, burn your assumptions.
That's right.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I know that's like a 10,000-foot view going into the season of what he's talking about with that. Because I thought it was really powerful.
Yeah. Well, as a modest Pearl Jam fan, that's from the great Eddie Vedder. I think the name of that song was like "Dance of the Clairvoyants" or something. And Sam, then later talked about how he went to a Pearl Jam concert. They played that song, but I think that Sam has made a point to smartly quote some really good song lyrics before. But I think that one, Mike, it's such a It sends such a strong message that I think that people can kind of relate back to previous Thunder teams where, like, even last year's team, there were people talking about that this was going to be the worst team.
We're going to win 9 games.
Yeah, win 9 games. Yep. And they made assumptions, and I don't know that a lot of those people necessarily burn those things because they probably want to, but there's often not a lot of accountability when it comes to those sorts of things where people want to remember. Hey, remember where you said that? So I would do the same thing in this case. You have to let a team. Sam talks about this a lot. Mark talked about this a lot. you got to let a team declare itself. And you can look at a youthful group like this, and there's assumptions that come with it with a young team. You know a lot of the pitfalls. You know a lot of the things that they're going to battle upstream against. We know what the schedule looks like early in November. It's going to be difficult, but you can't necessarily just assume what's going to happen. You got to see it play out on the court. And if this team can avoid some of those stereotypical youthful pitfalls that a lot of young teams run into, they might be able to punch above their weight in some ways, but you got to let it happen. You got to let it see what happens out on the court.
Yeah, I think what a lot of times that social media has a tendency to throw that out in the guys' faces all the time. Unlike when I played, it wasn't really an issue with social media.
Right.
And what all the armchair quarterbacks were saying.
Right. But there wasn't a delete button on the newspaper clips either. You could save those and say, remember
exactly.
this?
Frame them.
There's 4 guys on the team, though, that know better than just about anybody about how to head into a season not worried at all about what the outside prognosticators are saying. And Mike Muscala, Darius Bazley, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lu Dort were all a part of that 19-20 team that everybody said, wasn't going to go anywhere. Just curious, Mike, from your perspective, how do you compartmentalize heading into a season, knowing what you're capable of and not worrying about what anybody else says that you're capable of?
Well, I think that, a lot of times what you were talking about with Royce, that chemistry in the locker room, that leadership, hey, you know what? We're going to hit some stretches this season where only people that believe in us is us. And we're going to have to start this right now. Right now, everybody's kind of like, hey, the first month of the season last year, they were talking about the Lakers. Nobody were talking after 30 days, So you have to really kind of avoid that and not buy into that. I think that's where that leadership comes in. You just mentioned some powerful names. I think they're going to be important because they've been around. They understand that, what Bob Lanier once told all of us, I never played against Bob Lanier, but I followed his career. The NBA season is like a roller coaster. It's going up and down. It's going to pull at the seams, and the people that believe in you are in this locker room, and that coaching staff, those players, and just holding it together is going to really be I think, character building for your team, and not allowing outside influences to dictate what type of player, how many shots, how many points, or whatever you may or may not get. I think that really becomes important. That it goes back to the makeup of the team. And what's your goal? What's your goal tomorrow, day one of training camp? What is our purpose? What are we after? Collectively as a team. And everything else comes along the way. I mean, you don't have to worry about being an all-star. You don't have to worry about being, recognized as one of the top players. It all comes in time. But nothing supersedes what the guys collectively do in that locker room and on that floor, because everybody's got different agendas right now. Some teams are talking about NBA championships right now.
Yep.
Some teams are talking about, we just want to make the playoffs. Some teams are, so you got to understand where are you at right now. What's our goal? And I think that goes back to what Royce was talking about, what Mark is saying to the guys in the locker room. Hey, this is what we want to do. We're going to take a little bit at a time. We're not going to push ahead to January. We got to get through November.
Right.
Yeah. And Mike, that's a fantastic point. And for those of you who are watching at home, we're still here at Media Day, Thunder Basketball Universe live stream presented by COOP Ale Works. Players have been filtering through stations all around the arena. Right now, they're actually all taking their team picture right now. And so that's why there's a little bit of a pause in our players' interviews right now. But I would love to see that team picture, because if you look at it, you're going to see a lot of youth, but also you take a look at that and there's going to be a lot of guys 6'8", around 6'8", who can do a lot of things. That's really cool. And you saw it a little bit during the rookie press conference this season, where 3 out of the 4 rookies 6'8" or above and can really do a lot with the ball. That's really encouraging to see.
It's a modern NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's something, I think that, Sam Presti has even kind of talked about that, when you think about what's conventional and unconventional in the NBA, what would be unconventional in the modern NBA is to have one primary ball handler. And just one guy that walks up the court as a point guard and just calls out a play. That would be an unconventional thing to do. So where the Thunder are trying to take something that has become standardized and conventional, which is multiple ball handlers, versatility all over the court, they're trying to basically take that and have everybody stand on top of a box and be a little bit bigger and be able to do that sort of thing, and have guys that are versatile and can do all those sorts of things and have very, very, interesting toolboxes that are just a little bit taller.
One thing that has not changed about the game, though, is the size of the court. the height of the rim. Michael, when you think about that much length and size on the floor, as this team continues to go forward, you got to be pretty excited about that, right, guys?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, versatility is key. And if you look at all the teams that have gone deep into the playoffs, they have guys who can make plays on the perimeter. I mean, that's the modern day NBA, and guys who can switch and defend multiple positions. And you try to build as versatile of a roster as possible. But to take that a little step further and just to bring back up the youth of this team, the thing that I think I'm looking forward to most, particularly in training camp and over these first couple of months, is just how competitive of an environment it's going to be, because you got a roster full of NBA guys who are fighting for their careers, who are fighting to declare themselves. And now collectively they can always take those steps forward. But as close as this group is, as we've seen, family reunion, it's going to be very competitive when they get between those lines and start to declare themselves as players. And I think that that's going to foster a certain environment going forward that's going to be beneficial.
And when you peel back the layers and you talk about, you got your 5 guy who can bring the ball up the floor, and that's generally the last guy on the break, and he's starting to break, that's a problem. Seriously, that's a problem for NBA defenses, because, Royce, you've watched a lot of basketball like I have. You know that when you don't have to set up your plays, it is very difficult for NBA defenses to set up too.
Yeah.
So if you got that 5 guy bringing the ball up the floor, that's a problem.
Well, and scout, right? Like, imagine a scouting report where your 5-man has to prepare for everybody on the roster now, because anybody could play the 5 or bring the ball up the floor.
And Jay Will talked about that when we had him up here a little while ago. He's talking about, hey, I'm used to bringing the ball up. I've been doing it since high school. So you got people that are very comfortable running your break. And we're not talking about like when I played where it was a trail big. You trail the break, I'm going to get that open elbow shot or top of the key. No, that guy is setting up a play and kicking out to a three-point shooter or is getting all the way to the rim. Yeah. That's the versatility, I think, of this roster, that where you talked about, the average height is around 6'8", 6'9", but they're very mobile.
Michael, to your point, that assistant coach that's responsible for the scout that night, when they see the 5-man bring the ball up the floor, they're not standing. They don't have anything to say. What player are they going to call out that's coming? There's nothing coming. It's all random basketball, and that's what keeps defenses on their heels.
Yeah, and you called it, Nick. That's random basketball, and you guys all pointed it out. That is so difficult to prepare for, difficult to scout for. You can't get in your shell defense and match up and say, I want this guy on this guy, and I'm anticipating this pick and roll, and so this guy's going to switch on this guy. It makes it so difficult for defenses to deal with, and it's something Sam Presti's talked about, that less patterns, more rhythm. And if you can play in a way that is less predictable, and whether that's having all 5 guys able to do that, you don't know where shots are coming from, you don't know where the pass is coming from, it just makes you harder to scheme against. And NBA teams are so good at advanced scouting now. They're so good at preparation. It's just at a completely another level. So any advantages that you can play to in that way is absolutely critical.
I think that makes it difficult for the analytics for each team. When you have that kind of rhythm basketball, unscripted, because, they're looking at the numbers. But you know what? If you got 5 guys that can randomly move the ball and play like that, I think it makes it very difficult. And then to answer the question, I think it was either Paris or you, Fish, talked about the other element of, I think it was you, Nick, with all, you got 6'8", 6'9", all on the floor in a half court, spacing is going to really be huge. And I thought that was something that Mark talked about last year and really worked on with this team toward the end of the year. The spacing was excellent, so they were getting a lot of those straight line drives to the basket when teams were trying to pack it in, or even if they were trying to, when sometimes you just have to run an offense. And if you get to that secondary part of the break, which is probably your half-court offense, I think they're clever enough to understand that spacing becomes a factor in this game, in the modern-day NBA game.
Well, that is a great point. And I'm so glad we had this discussion. And Royce, thanks so much for joining us, bringing everything that we needed to know from that press conference.
Let me know if any flies need calling. I'm ready.
Oh, we'll be calling you. Don't you worry.
I'll be on standby.
Thanks, Royce.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Royce. All right, well, we'll actually get a chance to see these guys in action, all the 6'8" presence on the floor and everybody getting a chance to be out on the floor during preseason. It's going to be a stacked preseason for the Thunder. 6 whopping games, including 2 international games. Guys, this is something that is really going to be interesting to see. That first one kicks off at Denver on October 3rd, and then the Thunder comes back to play their preseason game in Tulsa, the annual preseason game at the BOK Center against the Dallas Mavericks. Be sure to go to OKCThunder.com to see this schedule schedule and to make sure you've got it on your calendars. Guys, a lot to look forward to with the preseason coming up very shortly, right around the corner, part of training camp. We are all excited to see it. And speaking of training camp and things rolling, we've got Mark Daigneault alongside us. Mark, welcome to our live stream. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's difficult following a legend like Royce Young, so wish me the best.
Big shoes, big shoes. We were just talking about the preseason, Mark. You're going to have your first preseason game in a week. So, what are some goals for you all over these next few days to get some good practices in and be ready for that first time playing 5-on-5?
Yeah, these are important practices. Setting a baseline and a foundation for the team. We've got multiple 2-a-day practices, so we've got a lot of touch points before a week from now. And it's good to, it seems quick, but it's good to get out there against an opponent because it's a really good checkpoint and figure out where you're at. I think sometimes if you practice for too long, you get kind of lost in where you're at. But the minute you play an opponent, it gives you a really good blueprint for what you need to do next, and we're looking forward to that.
I'm curious. This was 150 days off season. It was a long off season. Your first full off season as a head coach?
It was.
What was that like for you?
It was good. I mean, with a young team, having that many days is critical, especially with the amount of growth that they can have in a short period of time. And so that was exciting, is to see the work that they put in. We challenged them at the end of last season to do that in a very intentional way, and they ran through the finish line. Our guys did a really good job, especially our returners. Mm-hmm. They really set a pace for the offseason. Thought when our rookies came in about halfway through the summer, I mean, they looked around and there was a lot of work going on, and that's a really good signal for a young player.
Mark, it's time to roll up your sleeve with the guys, go to work. Got a question for you. Do you work on defense or offense first without revealing any specifics? As a coach, what do you feel the biggest challenge in training camp with such a young group? Is it just all over the place, or is it on the defensive end or offense?
Good question. I mean, it's something we talk about in terms of sequencing the practices, but we start practice every day with what we call core skills, and those are skills that are like important for every player regardless of position, regardless of skill set. And that's as simple as like securing the ball on a rebound, sprinting the floor in transition. That's where we always start. And those impact both ends of the floor. And then we work into the practice in a very like both ends way. Like we'll do stations that include offense and defense. And we get to playing live pretty frequently and pretty early. We don't spend a ton of time drilling unless it's absolutely necessary to teach, but then we get body on body. The guys come in, they're excited, they want to compete. And I think playing to that, you can really break the momentum and kill the buzz a little bit if you don't let those guys go a little bit. So we let them go.
Mark, last year there was a lot of talk about this team creating an identity for itself going forward. Obviously, youngest team in NBA history last year is going to be another young team this year. What are some of the steps that they took last year in creating that identity? And what are the steps that they still need to take? And what is that identity, hopefully, in your mind going to be?
Yeah, it's always a work in progress. Good to see you guys again, by the way.
Good to see you as well.
It's always a work in progress, though. And so I thought we had a lot of successes last year, small wins to what you're talking about, and none of those carry over. We have to start from scratch this year. I thought there were times where physically we were really, really good last year. We stuck our nose in the fight and really punched above our weight, especially on the defensive end. And I thought offensively, really from the new year on, that was more working towards the style that we were trying to get to, and it took us a minute to get that going. But once we did, I thought we looked sharper offensively. We were generating better shots. It was way more, closer to the style and the vision that we have for the team. And now it's a matter of coming in and starting from scratch again, see where that's at. I would expect both of those things to be a little bit better, but we can't take that for granted, and we're not going to skip a step.
Mark, I got a question. For a stretch there, you were a top 10 defense last season. How do you get a young team? Now, I played in the league. Let me tell you something, man. The hardest thing I had to learn my first couple of years was how to play defense in this league. How do you get a young team to buy into that right away?
Yeah, I think it starts with the guys we have. And I think, one thing that Sam has done a really good job of early in this process is layering the team with guys that get it, from a competitive standpoint. And that certainly helps. And then we just try to do everything we can to work on, block and tackle fundamentals. We're not trying to reinvent anything with our schemes. We just try to get very, very good fundamentally, like I said before, at the core things that matter every possession, every night. And then from there we can layer. And so we'll continue that process this year. You know, we had good success, like I said, defensively at times last year. But we started 0, and we got to get back to it. And it's a new team, a new year, and we got to put the work in again.
Mark, this wasn't just an off-season and a much-needed long one for the players, but you personally, your first 2 years as a head coach are under a pandemic. You become a father last year. I'm just curious, for you personally, what has this stretch of time been like, and how did you maybe utilize it to rejuvenate and learn about yourself as a person, a player?
Yeah, I mean, rejuvenation and reflection is important, and time allows you to do that. And so we've had really quick turnarounds the last couple of years, which has squeezed, we've still been able to do that, but it's certainly condensed it. And this is the first time now, even for our players, not just for us, where they get time away, they can rejuvenate, they can really reflect, and they really grow up. I mean, it's a 5-month off season, as Paris alluded to, and so, I think it was good for everybody, and it's got everybody very itchy right now. We're all really excited to get going.
Oh, yeah, we've been talking about looking forward to this preseason. Love that the preseason game is right around the corner. And, Mark, we thank you so much for joining us and giving us some great insight.
Good to be here. How did I do compared to Royce?
Oh, knocked it out of the park.
All right, good.
Knocked it out of the park.
It's a tough position to be in. Don't put me in that position next year.
We got you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much. That's Mark Daigneault joining us, help setting the stage for this upcoming season that is starting very soon. Training camp is starting tomorrow, and the first preseason game on October 3rd. And now, joining us here on our live stream is two-way player Lindy Waters III. Lindy, it is so great to see you. Welcome. How has this media day been like for you? This is your first media day, right? How is this for you?
First one, man. It's a blast. Getting to see all the familiar faces. Take photos, interviews, and all that. I just embrace it and have fun with it.
Darius Bazley said this is like a family reunion. You kind of. You were with the OKC Blue last year. You got to know these guys a lot more towards the end of last year. What's it been like reconnecting with everybody, and how bonded do you feel to your teammates?
I feel like we just get closer and closer every day. We compete against each other all the time, but at the end of the day, we're brothers, and that brotherhood keeps getting tighter and tighter. So with the season around the corner, I'm excited and I'm ready.
Lindy, so many firsts for you over these past 12 months, right? First time joining an NBA roster, first minutes, first time on the floor, now first media day, first time playing in Summer League. Just mentally, have you just kind of wrapped your head around how far you've come over these past 12 months?
I try not to let my mind run too much into that. I just try to stay focused day to day, just trying to figure out what do I need to do to get better. But also enjoying the process and knowing that this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for anybody. But yeah, just enjoying every single moment of it and embracing everything.
It's a good way to go about it, for sure.
Being an NBA player, you've watched a lot of games, I'm sure. This time last year, you weren't even on an NBA roster. So that speaks volumes about your hard work, your focus, because it's one thing to get an opportunity, but to get it to stick is another one. But you grew up here. You've been really involved in the community, Native American community. How has that really prepared you for what you've been able to accept this challenge of being an NBA player and staying on the roster?
Yeah, great question. I think, I've been involved with the Native American community all my life. And for me to remember and not forget that those people are still out there, and that's what I stand for. It just keeps me humble and keeps me who I am, and not, me turning into anybody that I'm not supposed to be. But yeah, man, it's my family.
Yeah.
Speaking of the community, earlier this month you went out to Esperanza Elementary and surprised some kids. We saw you over at Scissortail Park the other day. The Thunder, now that we've kind of exited pandemic times, has really been out in full force in the community. This is your community. This is your home. What's that meant to you to see that type of presence from you and your teammates?
It's awesome. I was a young kid, and every once in a while I get to see a basketball player come around, but I know how much it meant to me whenever I did see those people. So just for all of our teammates and everybody to get out there to the basketball parks, to the schools, and be those role models or inspirations for those young kids is huge for the Thunder program.
Do you show them how to shoot? because the shot is perfect. We talk about it all the time.
That's all we discuss, man.
On the broadcast. I can watch you shoot all day long.
It's like it's a prototypical shot, man, where you can just sell it like hotcakes.
Yeah.
I mean, you shoot it the same way. Hey, has your shot always been so mechanically perfect? I mean, just the way you release the ball. I mean, I don't know if you know that, but that's what me and this guy be talking about on air.
All the time.
Just your mechanics. I mean, a lot of players shoot elbow out, your elbow's in, your shoulders, your elbow is underneath the wrist, and it's like flawless.
Yeah, so big shout out to my dad. He didn't let me shoot threes until I was strong enough that I didn't break my form. So, like, mid-ranges, I only shot, like, probably deep 15-footers, 18 feet max.
What age are we talking about now?
Like 8th grade.
Wow.
That is a really underrated thing because I cringe at the thought of like a second grader trying to chuck it from behind the three-point line and they lower the ball down to their hips and their hands finish across their face. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. Now, my dad, he really kept it strict. You know, if I came in there and tried to shoot a three and it looked like I was just throwing it up there, like he would make me run and then we'd start back under the rim.
Okay.
We start super close until I could make, 10 in a row and then 10 in a row with no rim and then take a step back and do that. And just keep doing it until I could prove that I could keep shooting that and keep making those shots without breaking my form.
He's big on fundamentals.
Oh, yeah.
Did you tell him thank you today?
Yeah, it's paying off now, huh?
Yeah, I tell him thank you all the time.
Hey, speaking of fundamentals, Lindy, at the end of last year, you told us that your goal was to get into the best shape of your life this offseason because your running game, your floor game was going to be essential to getting you open looks. What did you do this offseason, and how do you feel you were able to attack that process?
I really focused in on my diet and also my training. I amped it up. I made it more challenging because, you can run forever, but now you have to make shots while also being tired and with the defender in your face and somebody chasing you all the time. So just trying to throw those extra components in there and make it as tough as possible. And some days weren't good, but those eventually are going to help me get to where I want to be.
Lindy, this was your first summer league this season as well. What was that experience like for you, getting a chance to go out there and play with this group?
It was awesome. Got a bunch of young guys, young team. I'm excited, man. Very talented. They make me work hard too. Just seeing, just all their different personalities. Like, even in summer league, like they go around to all the places. Like, wow, like we get to do this and this, and I'm like, right next to them, like I get to join y'all.
Yeah.
Like, they just have so much energy, and it rubs off on me, and it makes me smile.
And even the vets were there on the sideline joining you guys, and it seemed like you guys had some really good camaraderie there, and it was just a fun time for you guys.
Yeah, man. It's never a bad time when I'm with the guys.
And one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, at the end of last season, you also mentioned you were the most driven that you've ever been, just in terms of wanting to get better, wanting to improve. How'd that translate for you in this offseason?
I just stay disciplined, knowing that there's still a lot of things that I want to accomplish for myself and, for a lot of different things. But I know I can't let it slip. I can't let this opportunity slip, and I got to keep my foot on the gas pedal because, I'm right around the corner from everything.
So last summer, you had a different approach. You weren't in the NBA yet. Now you're in the NBA this summer. Has anything changed in terms of your preparation personally?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I've learned a lot from the vets, from Muscala, Favors, even Shai and Lou. Just being around those guys and watching how they go about their life and how they prepare for games every single day, like day in, day out. You got to be ready. And that's completely changed over this next year. So I'm excited to see where I'm going to be at next year because there's a lot of experiences and a lot of things to learn.
Well, Lindy, one thing's for sure. These two love watching your shots, so you got some extra eyeballs on you this season.
All day.
Looking forward to what you're doing out there.
No bigger fans than that shot.
I'll make some threes for you guys.
Have a good camp, man. Yep.
We appreciate you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of Media Day.
I'll take that.
Appreciate you. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. That's Lindy Waters joining us. And Mike, didn't let him shoot threes until he was after 8th grade.
See, Lawson, Gallo, Fish, I was in the opposite of that. I got a chance to shoot all the threes I wanted when I was younger, all
we
through
go.
high school.
There it is.
Maybe that explains a lot.
Oh, Nick.
We didn't have a three-point line, no. And then all of a sudden I get to the NBA, they said, no, you can't shoot the three. So, there's
here's
another
a guy.
gentleman that can shoot the three well.
No doubt.
say.
No
Yes,
doubt
sir.
about it.
Vit Krejci
Good, man.
joining
Good to
us.
see you.
Hey, what's up?
There's that
Good to see
infectious
you.
smile.
Yes, sir, man.
How are you?
Welcome, welcome.
Vit, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, good to be here again.
Got a chance to talk to you during Summer League, and you were just so happy. You were really excited. You were feeling good,
Feeling good.
after a lot of adversity, a lot of injuries. Just
Yep.
now you're here at Media Day, heading into this new season. What are your emotions? What are you feeling right now?
I can't tell how happy I am right now. You know, just being healthy and being able to play basketball, not worrying about absolutely anything else. You know, knee, nothing, just playing basketball. You know, so I'm super excited.
Hey, you looked really confident out there in Summer League. Just when
Yep.
you're out there, when you're playing, just
Yep.
what's that like? How are you feeling out there?
Yeah, that was my main goal this summer. You know, just to build that confidence again. Because obviously after last year, you know, there were movements that I wasn't like confident doing. So it was all about getting that confidence back. So I feel pretty good right now.
You have this incredible, size, skill profile. You can put the ball on the deck. You can make shots. You can distribute. You can play some defense. We see the hustle. How do you view your role on this team? Because you can do so many different things.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I can help a lot of different ways, But the main thing for me is just to be the energy off the bench, help the guys on and off the court. I feel like I've been in basketball for a long time, even in professional basketball back in Zaragoza. So I feel like I can help a lot of guys, on and off the court. And like I said, just bring energy on offense and on defense.
Vit, where did you spend your summer? Was it here?
I was
overseas?
back in Czech Republic with the national team. We were preparing for Eurobasket, so I have a lot of basketball. Had a lot of basketball during the summer, so it was awesome.
What are you able to take from your experience? Because we were actually talking about how you had to be up in the stands while you were recovering from your knee injury.
I was there a lot.
Right? You were up there a lot.
A lot of lonely games.
Just all by yourself. I know. It was empty.
Yeah, we put a camera up there. We shot up there a couple of times, man, just to make you not feel lonely.
He didn't even have the concessions to to go
Nothing.
talk to people at the concession
Can't go get some
stands. He was-
popcorn.
Yeah, I had a lot of good meetings there with like security guys and all that. It was
That
awesome.
speaks a lot for your mental toughness, though, too.
But Vit, you were on the floor last year, and a lot of that, I'm sure, was reacclimation into just playing basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
What from that can you build on going into this year that you really want to emphasize?
Yeah, I mean, just the overall experience, obviously the life is very different. So being able to kind of live it already. I saw first year, I saw like a lot of games. The second year, I was able to, experience some games, experience the life. So I feel like right now I'm all ready to go, That's all I'm thinking about, just go out there and play basketball.
Vit, I want to talk about you going home for a second, because that's pretty significant, right?
Oh, 100%.
Talk about the significance behind you going home.
It was unbelievable. I wasn't home for like 2.5 years. Unfortunately, my dad, he's in a military, so he was deployed in Egypt. So he got home like 2 days before I left to OKC. He got home like Wednesday last week, and I was traveling Saturday.
Wow.
But we had a dinner, like all my family, like my sister, me, mom, and my dad. We had a family dinner, and it was like first time in, I feel like 3 years maybe, that we all got together and had a dinner. So it was just an amazing feeling. I'm glad that, I wish he could have seen my games and been home more, but just being those 2 days were absolutely amazing.
Can't imagine what that moment was like, finally getting to see him. But you can't talk about dinner and not tell us what you had. So tell us about the Czech food that you had that night.
Well, when I'm with my dad, we go to dinner, we got to get to some good steak. So, we went out, got some good steak. It was, like I said, it was unbelievable. Just, sitting on a table and seeing everybody there after like 3 years. So it was just an amazing feeling.
What's been the reaction from your family? I mean, obviously you've come a long way over these past 3 years, from sitting in the stands to scoring your first points in Philly to being here now and healthy. Just what's been your family's reaction to everything?
I mean, they've been supporting me throughout the whole career, My dad sacrificed a lot for me to get here. My mom sacrificed a lot. She went to Zaragoza with me for a year. She quit her job. She quit everything home and went and moved with me another side of Europe with me for a year, just to help me kind of get to know Zaragoza and all that. So they sacrificed a lot for me. So
lot of work that I'm doing right now. It's for them to kind of, because I know what they've done. So, it's just amazing to see that all the work that they've done for me is paying off.
Vit, you got some street game in you, man. I'm saying that with respect, okay? Because when I watch you play, I don't know what you're going to do. You be moving. I be going, okay, this dude got some street game to him. Just the way you walk on the floor, it seems like you play with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been playing basketball forever, so I feel pretty confident out there. And now I'm, just happy to, show everything I got and not just, 80%, which I felt last year. So I'm really excited about the new season, really excited, about playing with the guys. So it's going to be a good year for sure.
When I say street game, it's like unscripted.
Yeah.
Like
you
we
never
just
know.
5 guys show up and we just pick a team and we play.
Yeah, we play.
Yeah,
I mean, that's about it.
That's
right.
That's hard to guard too.
Yeah, I mean, it's about all getting the basket into the hoop. That's all you got to do. So
absolutely.
Vit, for somebody who had to miss an entire season of basketball and watching it from the stands, obviously Chet is going to miss a season, and having gone through that experience, what's a little bit of advice that you can give him to try to keep his spirits up, considering you were able to do that?
I mean, try to look at the positives. Always try to have positive mentality. So I know the first couple days, maybe even weeks, they really suck. But after that, you gotta focus on the positive. You can get a lot better in different areas where you might not have the time during the season. So now you have a lot of time to get better at other stuff, strength, mental strength, all that. So it's all about perspective. You got to always look at the things positive.
Vit, you talked about being able to play with these guys this season. You've been around the team for 3 years now and going into your second season. Just what's it like having built some continuity and getting to know these guys and now going into this year? How's that feel?
Yeah, I feel it's really, especially here in Oklahoma, it's for everybody in the team. It's important to have kind of relationship between everybody. So it's been I feel like I've been here forever, It's been 3 years, so I haven't been exactly with the team, but I've been here for 3 years, or 2.5 years. So, it's just amazing, to be here. I love everybody in the organization, so I think we heading the really good way.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to see you this season and see all the work that you put in out there on the floor.
Yeah, always good to see you again. And
good to see you guys
excited
too.
to see you out there. Thanks,
Thank
Vit.
you.
Thanks so much, Vit. That's Vit Krejci joining us here on our Thunder Basketball Universe live stream presented by COOP Ale Works. We're here during 2022 Media Day, and there is just so much happening around us. Every now and then we hear guys yelling behind us, slamming the ball down for these videos that they're doing. We see interviews happening. Royce Young came through earlier to talk about all that was happening in the press conference. Guys, we've gotten a chance to talk to a lot of guys so far. What stood out to you so far?
Well, just talking to Vit, it reminds you, each one of these players has such a rich and interesting story. I mean, what it takes to get to this level is incredibly difficult. And Michael, it's not all a primrose path. And so for a guy like Vit to be here, to have that positive energy, that juice, obviously very exciting. And I think our fans are going to get really, invested in each one of these players because they have such unique journeys.
I will say, not everybody was drafted in that '84 class, Michael, destined for greatness.
Yeah. No, arguably one of the greatest draft classes of all time.
Not everybody could be blessed.
That's another
way.
stream. We'll get to that next time. But Nick, you bring up a great point. They all have come through different roads to get here. Was Lou's journey not different than Vit's? Was Lindy's journey not different than Bazley's? Pokusevski. We can keep going. Theo Maledon, and I think that's what really makes this squad very unique. They all had to fight for it. And very few players were drafted. And I'm not saying. Because when you're drafted and you're a lottery pick or a first-round pick, that's actually a good thing, like Trey Mann. I mean, that's a blessing, all right? They've already recognized your talent. But a lot of guys have to come in other directions. And that door is narrow, and there's a lot of guys waiting to get in there.
And, Michael, to your point, their journey's so varied, but their future's still very unwritten. I mean, guys that we think that we know, like a Luguentz Dort or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they still have a lot of runway left ahead of them. So the continuation of that journey is still really undetermined. And as we've talked about, these guys are going to get the chance to declare themselves, not just this year, but in the years to come as well.
And one thing I want to talk about here, because one thing that Sam Presti mentioned in his press conference was friction polishes, right? You got to go through some adversity in order to come out on the other side better. And here's a guy who's gone through some adversity as well, but come out on the other side better. Number 11 overall pick in this year's draft, Ousmane Dieng, joining us here on the stream. Ouz, great to see you. Welcome to Media Day.
Thank you. Good
How
morning.
is it? How are you feeling?
It's cool. It's cool. It's really good.
As we were just talking about, guys and their different journeys to get to the NBA and having to go through some adversity. And you went and played overseas last year. You left your home for the first time, really, and you play in Australia for the New Zealand Breakers. What was that experience like for you, and what do you think it taught you?
That was a really great experience. I think I grew up on the floor and off the floor too, because I was by myself in a whole new country and far from home. So I think that was a really great experience.
When you were getting on that flight, leaving France, knowing, okay, for the next 8 months, I'm going to be in Australia, New Zealand, what was going through your mind?
I mean, I think it was just like one of the sacrifices I need to achieve my dreams and my goals. So I wasn't too sad or too mad. I was just like enjoying the experience and everything.
Ouz, what has it been like getting to know the guys on this team since you've been here in Oklahoma City so far?
It's cool. I really enjoy, we're getting to know each other, and all the teammates are really great, so that's really good.
It helps that you have a guy like Theo Maledon who speaks the same language. Also, a connection, and Luguentz Dort also speaks that language as well, yes. And Josh Giddey, a guy who played in the NBL. You have that connection. How much does that help in you getting integrated with this team?
That really helps me. Like Luguentz Dort and Theo, we can speak French together, so that's cool. And yeah, with Josh, we're speaking about the NBL a little bit, and yeah, we're getting to know each other.
Ouz, for the fans that haven't been too familiar with your game and haven't had the opportunity to watch you play in your young career, how would you describe your game?
I think I'm pretty versatile for my size. I can dribble, I can create for my teammates, I can drive, I can shoot. And yeah, I'm here to do whatever the coach wants me to do and yeah, help the team to win.
Ousmane, you look around, there's a lot of guys on this roster that are like 6'8", to 6'10", who can dribble, they can shoot, they can pass. What's that like getting out on the floor with so many other versatile players alongside you?
I think that's great. Like if everybody can do everything, I think that's really great.
Ouz, you participated in Summer League this year, and we got a chance to see you out there on the floor. One thing that Kim was, the head coach of the Thunder Summer League, said about you, he said you were probably quietly one of the most improved players throughout that Summer League stretch. How did you feel yourself getting better during that Summer League time?
I think that felt good because I started a little bit bad the Summer League, but I just keep working out, keep speaking with the coach, and learning from everybody, and yeah.
How much confidence did that give you coming into this season, having had that experience in Summer League?
I think that gave me a lot of confidence because I know everybody is behind me and everybody got my back, so. Yeah.
That was kind of your story with the New Zealand Breakers too. You really came on strong the last half of that year that you were over there. I think 13 points, 36% from three the second half of the season. What maybe switched for you a little bit and made you feel more comfortable and able to be even more productive?
I think I just keep focusing on what I can control. I don't care about the situation of COVID and everything, the lockdown and everything. So yeah, just being focused on what I can control.
Talked to a couple of your coaches from over there. They said at some point during the season they actually had to take you off the practice floor. You were trying to practice so much, you were trying to put so much work in that they had to limit your court time. Where does that work ethic come from?
I don't know. Maybe when I was at INSEP, they teach me to work every day, and to achieve your goal you need to work. So yeah, I was a little bit mad of my season, so I was always in the gym and working out.
We're excited to see you bring that work ethic here to Paycom Center. First of all, what have you thought? This is your first time inside of Paycom Center.
Big.
Yeah, what are your thoughts so far?
That's a big arena. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to play here.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you. Thanks so much for joining us, Ouz.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ouz.
Great to see you. That's the Thunder's number 11 overall pick in this year's NBA draft. Ousmane Dieng coming to us out of New Zealand, but was born in France. So he's been kind of all over the world, really, and landed right here in Oklahoma City. Really cool to see these connections between players, that international connections, all in this locker room.
Yeah, even more complicated was that the New Zealand Breakers weren't even allowed to play and practice in New Zealand because of COVID. So they were stuck in Melbourne. So he's had to catch a lot of flights over the last year and a half.
Well, we talk about the amount of guys on this roster, 6'8" and above, who can do a little bit of everything. I think of this guy, Ousmane Dieng, and seeing him out there in Summer League, really kind of settling in a little bit, getting to learn the NBA and settling into his game. Mike, you were there at Summer League. You got to see this guy. What are your thoughts on him and what he can bring?
Well, I think he fits the Thunder roster. You can see what Royce was talking about, how, all the way from what Sam was wanting to put this roster together, what Mark was talking about, players that can play multiple positions, players multi-skilled, players that really, still have a long runway, as you mentioned, to take those words from you, Nick. I think that's really important, where he's going to get that opportunity. A lot of times young guys come in this league, especially, the opportunity is just not there. They may have some veteran players playing above them, but I think that's what's going to be exciting about him. Most improved, I believe you mentioned that, from the coaching staff talking about him. Wait till he starts playing in the NBA after, 20, 25 games. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to really see, because the NBA game opens you up. There's no restrictions. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of teams do not want to restrict a player. They want to actually, encourage a player to expand on his game, to do something uncomfortable on offense, to play defense on a bigger guy. He might be guarding Nikola Jokic, but as you saw, the man looks like he's about 6'9", maybe 6'10", so he can guard Jokic. Now that I brought him into the conversation.
Two-time MVP Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, well,
that'd be a tall test.
That would be a tall test.
But we don't know. We don't know if he can guard Jokic or not. And I think that there is an element of unknown going into this season that he really embodies, and he's not the only one. His entire draft class. There's a little bit that we don't know about the second-year players and how far they can take your game. And you mentioned it, Nick. There's still stuff we don't know about guys like Shai, who's going into year 5. How high can he take his game? What else does Lu Dort have in his game? But this rookie class, I think that there's an element of intrigue there, and we're going to see how do they blend in with the guys that have been here. But we just don't know.
Burn your predictions, right? We admit that we don't know.
Play out. You have to let it play out.
And sorry, just one thing. Like the Thunder has been one of the best teams in the league at not just utilizing those minutes on the floor at the NBA level, but also the G League level. And again, we don't know what will go on, but you think about these 2 draft classes in a row, right, that have the opportunity to play right here in this building with the OKC Blue, sometimes on the same day as a game that they'll play with the Thunder. And you think about all of those available minutes to be put in those competitive experiences, those environments, going to be absolutely critical for a guy like Ousmane Dieng and his teammates.
What stands out, and something I feel like we got to bring up, he's 19 years old, right? Josh Giddey also played in Summer League. We have to remember he's young as well, right? Like, he came into the league super young, and he was still younger than some of the new rookies that came in, right? So there's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of encouraging signs for development already for these guys, and it really makes you look forward to this upcoming season.
When you see what a tool the G League has become in the NBA, it's hard to believe that it wasn't the standard, 10 years ago. I mean, these teams are really taking advantage of it because it gives guys an opportunity to go down and work on things, and the Thunder have done a great job of doing that and really incorporating it into the player development aspect. But I can't believe it, Michael, that there wasn't a G League all that long ago.
Yeah. And you think about how important that development is. And when you talk about development, this is Mr. Triple-Double stepping into the house right here.
I have so many questions for Josh Giddey right now. And first of all, welcome. Welcome back to Media Day. Great to see you. Josh, one thing that stood out to all of us, I think, when we saw you at Summer League was it looked like you filled out a little bit. It looked like you've been in the weight room. Can you talk us through what your regimen was, what you were doing this offseason that led to what we see right now?
Yeah, obviously that was a big part of my off season was in the weight room getting stronger, and I spent a heavy emphasis, a lot of time in there with AP when I was in OKC, and then my trainer out in LA. So it was a big part of my off season what I wanted to do, and we put on some size. So hopefully it helps me going forward into year 2.
Yeah, it looked like you were able to use it going into the lane during summer league, taking on some extra contact, so it looks like it's paying off.
Thank you.
Yeah, the physicality is such a huge part of the game out on the perimeter and inside. We saw you as a rebounder as well. Just your thoughts after you kind of absorbed year 1. What were some of the biggest challenges that you're ready to attack in year 2?
Yeah, I think, when you're a rookie and a younger guy in the league, the older guys, they're going to point you out and try and go at you. And that's one of the parts of being stronger is you can, especially for me, being able to try guard, 1 through 4. These 4s are big body guys. So that's why I got to get stronger, be able to sit down, move with these guys is important. And I know as a young guy, they're going to try to go at you and exploit you. But I think if I can hold my own on that end, hopefully it's going to help our team out and, help me out on the defensive end.
Ooze talked about playing in NBL. You played there. How did that really help you in terms of preparing you for your rookie season? Because you had an outstanding rookie year.
Yeah, I think the big aspect was playing against grown men. I mean, I was 17 when I first got to my professional club in Australia, and I was going up against 30-year-olds. And at the start, they were beating me up, and I needed that to get ready. And I think that part of playing against grown men in one of the best leagues in the world at such a young age really set me up and helped me going into my rookie year. So, as I said, playing against older guys was definitely the biggest jumping point from the NBL to the NBA.
Josh, we saw you unpack a lot of tricks in your bag during your rookie season, from all those side out-of-bounds passes, over your shoulder, you name it. You've got quite the array. Is there a certain type of play that you like to make the most, that you really look forward to, or you wish that you could bust out maybe a little bit more than a couple of the others?
Yeah, well, I wish we could just play the whole game on the sideline. That'd make me happy. A lot of those layups.
Yeah, the highlight reel says that, too.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be the NBA in assists.
I mean, anytime, I think our guys started to figure out as the season went on and we grew that connection that if there's a tight window, I'm going to try to get the ball through there. And they started understanding, and they all got into the right spots, and they made a lot of the passes I make, they made them look a lot better than they were. They were in the right spot. They got there on time. So a lot of my job is made easy by them being in the right spots, and I give a lot of credit to my teammates, coach for trusting me with the ball in my hands, and having that confidence in me to throw some passes that, if they get picked off, it's not like I'm looking over my shoulder because I turned the ball over. He's got the confidence in me and encourages me to throw some passes, and I try as much as I can to get guys involved, get guys easy buckets, and that's part of being a guard is you want to make everyone around you better and make sure guys are involved.
Yeah, but your passes didn't start last year, and they didn't start in the NBL. Like, your passes, like, you can just tell you've been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
Because I know basketball, and when I watch a pass, I go, that's not an accident. Yeah. That's like confidence. I've done it before. Where did all this start for you in terms of being able to pass the basketball with such accuracy?
Yeah, I've always, I always ran the point guard position when I was a young kid, and my dad was my coach, and we ran a really structured offense where there was a lot of trick plays involved. And me and my best friend Pat, we used to just joke around at training and try different things, and we'd try slip plays, back cuts, things like that. And I'd turn the ball over all the time, but part of that was learning and learning where to throw the ball, when to throw it, timing. And I played, I think, 5 or 6 years with him, and we got better and better at it. And I think those little, small gaps I used to throw the ball in really translated, and I was fortunate enough it did. And I was in a position where my dad gave me the ball, let me try different things, and it's carried forward to where I'm at today.
Yeah, you're tapping into this. Those are not just highlight plays for the sake of a highlight. They're functional for the team. You had 1 year of doing this. What's it like, getting together with your teammates like you did with Pat and coming up with new ideas? And, I mean, we see the eye contact with you and Kenrich Williams and some of these guys that you seem to just have some innate chemistry with.
Yeah, I've started doing it. The things that I used to do with my boy back in Australia, I've started actually doing it with Jeremiah. So if you speak to him, ask him about that, because he'll tell you. I won't tell you what it is, but we've started working on some different things, little just trick plays. Guys are starting to get it now, and they know that I want to pass the ball and I want to get them buckets, and these little quick sleight of hand things are ways to get easy looks at the ring. So, I'm working on it with guys. I think that's one of the benefits about the offseason. You can try different things, especially playing pickup with my teammates. If I turn the ball over in a pickup game, who cares? So we try different things out, but I'm excited for this season. There'll be some different things in play.
Talking about this offseason, obviously pretty eventful for you. Obviously jet setting across the country. You got to go to Australia and then come back here to Oklahoma City. one thing you really got to do that was really cool was be a part of a community event where you got to pass out some gift cards at a local gas station. Just what was that like for you, getting a chance to meet this community face-to-face for the first time?
Yeah, it was great. It was one of the things I was looking forward to. I'd heard, so much before I got here about how good the fans were, the community was, and when I first stepped out into the arena, you could really feel that. And to be able to be in a position to give back to them and go to the gas station and give out gift cards, to see the smile on some of these people's faces was a big part of what we're doing. Being in the position that we are to make people's days and lighten them up is a big part of why I love playing basketball and being in the position I am. So it was obviously tough with COVID, getting out of the community, but to do that for the first time was definitely excited, and I'm looking forward to doing it again soon.
Had to get used to gas card, not petrol.
Exactly, yeah.
We got you. What was it like going home to Australia this summer? I mean, this is the first time you were able to go home since you joined the NBA. What was that like for you?
It was good. It was obviously different because I hadn't been back in a long time, and obviously a lot had happened since the last time I was back in home in Melbourne or Australia. But it was fun. I got to see everybody again, my family, friends. Actually, I had some basketball camps around the country, so it was a fun, 3-4 weeks I was there. And I can't wait to get back after the next season.
Josh, get us straight. So was it winter in Australia when you got home, or did you miss summer?
I don't know. Summer is, for us, summer is over Christmas time. It's like the opposite season. So actually, it wasn't too cold. Yeah. So it wasn't too cold, too hot. It was pretty neutral.
Well, we got plenty of heat here for you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I know.
Plenty to spare.
Yeah.
We also have a highlight reel or two if you want to go back and watch them. I think we ran 2 or 3 packages over the course of the year on side out of bounds plays.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I will watch that.
Josh, you mentioned the camps that you got to have for the kids back in Australia. We were talking earlier about Shai and Lou. They got to do the same thing up in Canada. It wasn't that long ago that you were in those kids' shoes. Just what did that mean to you to be able to bring an opportunity to them like that?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal because 12, 24 months ago, my dad, his role for one of the NBL teams was their community stuff, and he used to run the camps, and I was actually like one of his little assistant coaches at the camps. And now, fast forward 12, 24 months, I'm running my own camps, and the thing I told those kids before the start of every camp was I was in their position not long ago at all, and I was sitting on the floor listening to my favorite players, my role models speak, and I learned a lot at those camps, and I know how much it means to those kids to be able to interact with NBL, NBA players, and it was a special time for me, and it was surreal because, as I said, I was there not long ago at all, sitting on the floor, listening to coaches talk to me at those camps. So that's going to be hopefully a yearly thing I can get home and do those. So I'm excited for it.
I got one more thing for you. We've seen you a couple times down at the OU football game. You've been spending a lot of time with your teammates. Obviously, you guys bonded so much last year. Will you just tell me about the kind of the chemistry and the camaraderie of this group and how tight you all are?
Yeah, it's a really close group. It's a really young team, which kind of helps it. And guys are really close. We spent a lot of time, obviously. I was in Toronto, with Shai and a few of the other guys. We're in LA for a week. We're in at the OU game. So there's different team events, really helps with the chemistry. And even if it's not on the floor, just doing things together off the floor really helps. And it's good to be back with all the guys before training camp starts. And, we start playing in about a week. So these little events are good. And I think our chemistry is, only going to keep growing from year 1 to 2.
That chemistry, you can just feel it in the air, right? It's a family reunion type feel, all these guys getting back together. And Josh, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Gosh, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Appreciate you, Josh. That's Josh Giddey joining us heading into his second season with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He is going throughout Media Day, hitting all of the stations that are all around this arena, from videos to photos, interviews, you name it.
He mentioned something about how he felt like older guys were targeting him and going after him, and it happened early in the season, but I never got the sense that he was overmatched.
No way.
I mean, his frame, even though he says he put on a little weight and he wanted to be able to stand up against bigger guys, I always felt like he was able to kind of hold his own from a physical standpoint. And from a mental standpoint, Michael, I know that you saw him, and we were courtside, and you'd kind of see that look on his face like he's not about to back me down.
No. And I
was just saying, he took the contact right to the chest, and he didn't back down from those at all, Chris. You're exactly right.
And you know what? The officials kind of let him get a little hammered driving to the basket last year, I would say, where I thought, all right, in another year or two, they're going to call a foul.
Michael's lobbying already. Here we go. It's like, he better get that whistle now.
But he's going to get that call. Because, he's not complaining. He's not afraid to go in there. And I tell you the one thing, I think he's underrated in terms of he has a motor, man. If you notice, when he hits, he's moving all the time with the basketball, left, right, so it's really impressive at 6'8".
Absolutely. And here's a guy who's been pretty impressive for the Thunder so far in his time here is Aaron Wiggins. Aaron, great to see you. Welcome to Media Day. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to see all y'all. Happy to be here.
How are you feeling walking into this arena? This is your second Media Day, obviously. Walking into this arena after such a long off season.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a long off season, serious. But it feels amazing knowing that the season's right around the corner and we're about to get back in the flow of things. I'm super excited. I can't wait with the group of guys that we have. Guys are really, really eager to get on the court, so I'm excited.
Last time you walked into this building for a media day, you were on a two-way contract, a little bit less secure in what your NBA journey was going to be like.
Yeah.
What was the feeling as you walked in this year, kind of thinking about the start of a new year, but in a totally different situation?
Man, I mean, first off, I feel like a vet, man. I mean, you got 4 new rooks, and I'm going into my second year. Like, I know what I'm doing for real. Definitely feel super excited knowing, that I'm a little bit more secure in terms of, looking at all of that. But still got to have a lot to prove. Got to step out on the court, got to prove my worthiness. And, there's a lot that kind of comes with it. So I'm super excited but ready to get to it.
You probably feel like a veteran because you got a ton of playing experience last year. You got a ton of starts.
Yeah.
Were you anticipating getting that much playing time your rookie year? And now having that veteran presence, how do you think it's going to translate into year 2?
I wouldn't necessarily say I was anticipating having that much time. But for me, I set really high standards for myself, and I knew, the things that I was capable of. So for me, it was just more about taking advantage of any opportunity, having a lot of confidence, and doing everything that I could to the best of my ability, kind of just controlling what I could. And I mean, half our team is younger than me. So when you look at the veterancy and stuff, I definitely am excited to kind of carry over some of the same things that I did from my rookie year. Playing confident, being a guy that you can put in any situation and you know what you're going to get. So I'm looking forward to kind of carrying that over and being that type of guy. So.
Last year, a lot of unknowns about you. Nick brought up the contract. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And here it is, your second training camp. What are you looking forward to?
Just the competitive nature. We got a tough group of guys who really want to work, guys who want to win, and guys who want to earn their position, earn their spot. So, having that competitive environment makes you a better player, makes the team better, and there's just a lot that comes with it. So I'm looking forward to stepping on the court, competing with guys, and getting after it.
We talked to Kenrich about that this is going to be a group that is going to earn everything it gets, and really the individual players have had to earn everything that they've gotten along the way too. Your thoughts on a team with that collective mindset and what the approach is going to be for the whole team coming into this year?
Yeah. When you have a team with a ton of individuals who have that tough competitive mindset, I don't know where it puts you, but it's going to put you somewhere. It's going to give you the recipe for success. And I think with the individuals that we have, the mindset, the approach to the game, the respect that we have, both for the game, our bodies, and what it could do for us, everybody's really excited. And we can't see through the future and see where it's all going to go, but we know that we're headed in the right direction, and that everybody's excited. So.
Well, Aaron, we are really looking forward to seeing you out there on the floor. We loved what we saw last season, so can't wait to see all that you've improved on this season as well.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay,
Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, I see you.
23 years old ain't old in our realm.
Big bet here.
In the locker room, yeah.
Be a vet. I'm a vet.
Right. Year 2 going on year 10.
For sure. Literally.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Aaron.
Thanks so much,
guys.
Aaron.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Enjoy Media Day. That is Thunder guard Aaron Wiggins joining us, the vet here on this roster.
I'm not a vet yet in having his name down. I feel like I'm going to call him Andrew Wiggins every time.
Gotta get it down. He's a vet now. He's a vet.
He's a vet.
Aaron Wiggins joining us. So much happening here at Media Day. And speaking of which, we've got a special guest joining us right now, none other than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander joining us here on the TBU live stream. Shai, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How have you been doing? This has been a long off season. Yeah. How's it feel to be back in here today?
It felt like it was forever away. The off season's been super long. I think this has been the longest off season since my rookie year. Actually, maybe longer because my rookie year I made the playoffs.
Right.
So this has been my longest off season. It feels like it's been like half the year. So like,
5
I was
months,
itching to get back.
You're just like itching to get back into start playing again. Yeah.
How valuable is that, though, to be able to kind of go through the normal routine you need to get your body rested,
Right,
to get all your physical attributes to exactly where you want them to be before the season starts?
Yeah, it gave me a lot of time to work on my game, to figure things out, you know what I'm saying, mentally, watch a lot of film, and really get better on and off the court. Then it also gave me a lot of time with family to decompress, get away from it a little bit. That's always healthy. So I had plenty of time, and I'm glad I had it, but I'm ready to get back.
You also had time to host a couple camps for some kids up in Toronto. I'm sure that had to be an incredible experience for you to be giving back in that way.
Yeah, so fun. It's crazy to think I was one of those kids at a basketball camp, looking up to whoever came home. It's surreal that I'm in that situation, that experience now, that I could give back, show the kids that they can do it too.
Shai, as one of the leaders of this team, what do you ultimately want out of this season? What do you want to see, and what do you define as success for the next 6 months?
Yeah, I think for myself and the team, really to get better, I would say every day. No matter what the outcome is, win, lose, I can't draw in basketball, but win or lose, get better, learn, and really apply for the next game. Whether it's what we did wrong today or what we did well, learn from it, get better, and then just take the step forward. I think if we do that at our foundation, that ultimately we'll be where we want to be at the end of the season and in a couple of years as well.
Shai, in talking about leadership, that's something you mentioned in your end-of-season interview, that you really wanted to take on a leadership role this offseason. What did that look like for you, and what was it like being able to connect with the guys throughout this offseason?
Yeah, it was fun. So I got away from them early in the offseason. I was just with them for 8 months, had to get rid of them. And then we saw each other in Vegas.
Yep.
And then I saw maybe like 2 groups of guys.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 groups of guys. They came to Toronto. We played pickup, chilled a little bit. That was fun. Usually, like the rookies that was there, I didn't get to really hang out with. Yeah, that was fun. Just to get to know guys a little bit outside of the setting, and then ultimately it'll make us closer, and we'll be better on the court for the season.
What have been your thoughts of the rookies so far, and this class? I mean, there's 4 of them. Just what have been your thoughts and how much you've been able to get to know them so far?
Yeah, they've all been great. Obviously good kids, great kids, easy to get along with, cool guys. And then on the court, I would say from 1 through 4, all of them bring something unique to the game, and ultimately make us a better basketball team. And they're really good for that. It's rare you see 4 kids that are rookies in the NBA and can make an immediate impact. And I think we have 4 of them.
Shai, we know that you're going to be reevaluated in a couple of weeks with that knee. How much of this do you view as an opportunity for you over the next couple of weeks, just thinking about you as a leader, of how you can impact the team and maybe what the team can learn about itself without you on the floor as you all head into the regular season?
Yeah, it'll be it'll be a good, guys will be able to figure things out on the court for themselves. I think what works for them and what doesn't. I think that's what preseason's for. I think guys they'll be able to be on the court. I'll be able to help them off the court, what I can see. You know, you see things different when you're on and off. Yeah, it'll be good. I would prefer being on the court with them, I must say.
So would we.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be an experience. It'll be cool for them to go through, and then hopefully we never have to go through it again. But if we do, they'll be equipped for it.
Shai, how important was it playing for your national team this summer? Just, participating, getting a chance to play with your countrymen.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of those guys I grew up with. It was fun to play with them again. Haven't played with them since I was like 11 or so.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it was so fun. And obviously representing your country, playing back home, is another joy in itself. It's something that I'm so happy I did, and I'm excited to do again in the future.
Well, Shai, I'll tell you what, we're excited to see you in that Thunder uniform when you're able to get back out on the floor.
Me too.
We're really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Shai.
Thanks, Shai. That's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander joining us here on our TBU live stream. Guys, great to see him. I know he's been jet-setting kind of all over the country, maybe even the world a little bit. Great to see him, but still staying connected with his teammates. Michael, as somebody who's played in the NBA, how important is it to stay connected with your teammates even outside of the season?
Well, I think, he spoke, Paris, like an ambassador. Just seeing, look, I've seen a lot of basketball. I know this team. I've seen, the draft pick, the young kids coming in. The guys he played with last year, Josh Giddey, Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, who we've yet to have. And then understanding the guys who were already there with them in the trenches. Luguentz Dort, Darius Bazley, Theo Maledon, Pokusevski. I think, Shai is really, we're going to see a different side of him in terms of his game is going to continue to ascend, but the leadership role, he was asked to be a leader at a really young age and has handled that very well.
We were joking with Aaron Wiggins about him feeling like a veteran and being in the league 10 years. It feels like Shai's been in the league 10 years. He has had a lot go on in the 4 years so far.
That's why he's calling all the rookies kids.
Right?
Yeah.
He has had a lot going on.
I don't think I was a captain in the NBA until I was 26. That was when they said, okay, that's minimal.
Right,
finally, they
earned
said,
it.
26, you've made it. Well, here's a guy joining us now on the live stream. We've got Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara, Thunder's lottery pick this season. Jalen, this is your first time inside a Paycom Center, just looking around, first media day. How are you feeling right now?
I feel good. There's a lot of flies.
Yeah, we've noticed.
Yeah. No, I feel good. This is my first time being in here and kind of going through the process of even meeting everybody, so this is really dope.
Yeah, I'm sure as a kid, the dreams of playing in an NBA arena, making that your home 41 nights out of the year had to be going through your head as you're realizing that in about a week and a half, you'll get to do that here. Just your thoughts on being able to play here the first time.
It's surreal. I got a lot of emotions kind of going through my head all at once, just kind of walking through the back and doing that. Even just walking out the tunnel was really cool. I just can't, I'm looking forward to just getting started.
Jay, congratulations. Welcome to the Thunder. Saw you play in the Summer League. I know it was just a sample size, but I saw a guy who can make plays off the dribble, somewhat of a utility man. Have you always been that type of all-around player, defender, not afraid of contact? Was that the correct assumption I saw in Las Vegas last summer?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just kind of trying to figure out where I fit in with the team and kind of just, I came with the attitude, just be willing to do whatever, it kind of takes to win. I think being at Santa Clara where I first got there, defense was kind of my anchor, just to be able to get minutes. So I've been kind of holding that as my thing and then just kind of letting my offense, constantly develop. So
yeah, what was that experience like for you? You went in and really midway through your freshman year, you got charged with guarding the opposing team's best offensive player. By the end of your time at Santa Clara, you were the best offensive player on your team, getting guarded by the top defender. How did you make that transition over the course of that time?
I think a lot of it was just comfortability. My coaching staff believed in me to kind of make that jump. We finally got a normal year this past year as well. My sophomore year was kind of a blur. But, just, kind of finding confidence in that. Kind of always knew I had the offensive game to that. But I think defense is one thing in basketball that can always remain consistent because it's just effort. So,
Jalen, I'm sorry. I got to ask you. You went to the State Fair twice this past week. What were your thoughts?
It was a lot more people than I thought it was going to be. But it was really cool. Obviously COVID and stuff stopped a lot of fairs, and that's stuff that I like doing. So it was really cool to kind of be out there and, kind of be around the community for my first time, especially, finally getting settled with the house and stuff. So it was really cool to be around everybody.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How are you getting settled just personally as a person here in Oklahoma City, being a professional? What has all that been like since you've been drafted?
It's been fun. My mom just came out here last week, so she decorated her house, basically.
There we go.
It's just really cool to be around a cool community. Everybody's, kind of embraced me while I've been here. So it's a really cool environment.
With all of these experiences being so new and so fresh, having your first year coming up in the NBA, training camp starts tomorrow. What's the mentality as a rookie trying to establish yourself?
I think just embrace and be open to all opportunities and, challenges and ups and downs that are going to come within the season. I think just constantly being ready, being ready whenever my name is called to just go out there and perform.
We saw a lot from you during Summer League, and like he was saying, playing a lot of different positions. You told me it was a little refreshing to be able to play so many positions that you were playing out there on the floor. Why was that so refreshing for you?
I think just the talent level. I think we have a lot of guys that can do a lot of things, so it's really cool to kind of be put in different positions and, kind of challenge myself as well. Go guard the 1 and guard the 4 and kind of bring the ball up or play the wing. So it's really cool to kind of play off the team.
And learning about this group, right? There are a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things, like you mentioned. What's it like getting to know them as players and as people too?
I think as players, that's just something that's going to come with, obviously during the season and, practice and stuff like that. But I think just off the court, we get along really well. We're all around the same age too, so everybody kind of has the same interests. So it's just really cool to be around a good group of guys.
Yeah, just your thoughts on being able to attack the program, right? Getting drafted, which I'm sure was a whirlwind too for you, is just the beginning of this upcoming journey. What were some of your goals this offseason and how you're going to attack this Thunder program?
Getting drafted was cool, but I think just as far as my mentality shifted, it's just a number, so now going out and perform. But I just kind of watched a lot of our games from, obviously last year and just kind of see different places where I thought I could fit in and do that. But, just trying to sharpen a lot of my game, understand our program, like you said, attack it and just kind of be ready to be put in different positions throughout the year.
What are you looking forward to most heading into this training camp?
Practice, just actually doing practice. We've been doing a lot of just running 5s and stuff. So actually having a structured practice and see how that compares to, Santa Clara practice.
Yeah, enjoyed the 2-a-days, Jalen.
I know.
They get started tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us here on the live stream.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Great to see you, Jalen. Thanks so much. That is Jalen Williams, Thunder rookie coming into this season. So much to look forward to. One of 4 rookies in this draft class and a guy who can do a little bit of everything out there on the floor and someone who we will be really excited to see this upcoming season. Talking about a guy who can do a little bit of everything. How about this guy right here, JRE, coming into his 2nd season, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. Jeremiah, thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
How has Media Day been? This is your 2nd one now, so it's, you're a vet at this point.
I know. It's a lot of experience now with this. But it's been going well. It's been going smooth. Everybody's been doing a good job, so it's been a lot of fun.
A lot of confidence coming from the 2nd-year guys.
Yeah.
This is easy.
We've done this before. We've done
this
before.
You, Aaron, Josh, all of you guys.
What was your summer like, man? What'd you do last summer?
The summer, so, we were here a majority of the summer, leading up into Summer League. And then after Summer League, we were done in mid-July. I went back to Kansas City for about a month and a half and trained there and just enjoyed myself before we got back here to lead up to training camp.
Anything you were working on specifically this summer, or is it all going to happen in training camp?
I've been working on my shot. I feel like I shot the ball well last year, but I just know how important that is going into the season. But just try to bring that versatility and leadership. I know we're a really young team, but having that leader on the court and just that communication factor is really important.
See, I thought you were going to say you worked on the velocity on your fastball because we saw you throw out the first pitch at the Royals game back home.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good. You hit the strike zone.
I don't think people – I have a respect for pitchers now that I feel like you don't feel unless you've been out there. That mound is really far.
It's intimidating.
That mound is far.
And it's high.
Yeah.
It's way higher than people
They're
think.
playing the Dodgers, so there's 50,000 plus people out there watching me throw a pitch. I'm like, I don't do this. I'll play basketball in front of a million people, but throwing a pitch that I don't do every day, that's a tough one.
Well, see, I thought you were going to talk about the passes that you've been working on with Josh Giddey. He hinted at you guys have been cooking something up a little bit this offseason. You've been working on some secret stuff.
We got some stuff. Every time we play pickup, we had our secret stuff. I'm not going to let everybody know what's going on.
That's
but
fair.
We got it at least in. We got it in every single time. Every single time we played on the court together, we got it in.
Well, Josh was talking about his mysterious friend Pat from back home, who he's got working the same actions that you're working on.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That's
him.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, I'm just over here from home.
You
I'm over here. I don't know about that one.
But what's that continuity like? You've got a year under your belt playing with Josh, playing with Shai, playing with Lou and Darius, all these guys coming into this season. How does that feel?
I think it's great. I think the pros of being such a young team is that we just can gel so easily because we're so relatable to one another. Nobody has families except 2 of the guys, but it's like we're all just young guys wanting to compete at a high level and just do what we love doing.
J-Rob, you were able to impact the game on so many different levels last year. Not just the pick and pops, not just coordinating offense from the top of the key, but the physicality down low. As you look back on year one, examining what you're going to try to do in year 2, what stands out to you as some big things on your agenda?
I would say the biggest thing is just being a leader out there. I feel like that the first year you're kind of getting your feet wet, kind of just understand your role for the team and what you can do for the team. And I think just us being such a young team that having that leader, that voice of the team, just being a loud communicator out there on the court is something really important. I'm going to take a lot of pride in this year.
You had so many experiences last year, right? Started in 36 games. I'm thinking back to when one of your first starts was against Milwaukee, right? And you've got Giannis Antetokounmpo down there. I mean, how valuable were those experiences? Looking back on it now, once you think about it and reflect on it heading into year 2.
I think that's the best way to learn. You can't simulate an NBA basketball game. Even if it's in practice, if it's in whatever you think is going to help simulate it, you just have to be thrown into the fire and just figure out those things and trust the work you put in. But it's definitely great being able to have that experience and then going into season 2 or my next season, my second season. Just having that experience is going to help a lot.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing that experience play out on the floor this season. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
we really appreciate it. It's Jeremiah Robinson-Earl joining us right now, and he's trading off with another big man on this team, the one and only vet on this team, Mr. Derrick Favors. Great to see you.
What's up, Big Fave?
Bro? Good to see
Big
you.
Fave joining us. Derrick, it's been a long off season. Feel like we haven't seen you in a while. How you been doing? What you been up to?
I've been good. Just spending time with family, spending time back in Atlanta, getting business stuff together, getting my body right, just preparing for this season.
Yeah, as a vet, I mean, we've obviously talked to a lot of young guys today. What does it look like making the most of your off season? How have you learned to just kind of like best utilize that time?
Well, first and foremost, you got to get time away from the game.
Yeah.
During the off season, just take a couple of weeks off, spend time with your family, spend time with yourself, just doing your hobbies or doing what you like to do, and then try to easily ramp back up until it don't go too hard, but try to just easily ramp yourself back up and to get in shape and getting back to playing basketball, getting back to workout. So I think for the most part, just relax and just enjoy your off season.
Derrick, a big talking point from Mark Daigneault and the coaching staff last year was that physicality, and toughness is not just being physical, not just pushing around, but it's a mentality too. You seem to have a huge effect on some of these guys in terms of imparting that. Heading into this next year now, what are some next steps that you all can take on that front?
Not just being physically tough, but being mentally tough. Being in close games, being on the road, being on back-to-backs, playing against certain opponents, certain games. You have to be mentally tough, and I think that's probably the next step for us. Just coming in and just learning how to close out games, how to approach games, how to start off the games in the first quarters and coming out of timeouts, coming out of halftime, just how to approach those situations. And I think that's something that, we should be better at this year.
As you move along and these young guys get more experience, you're not going to be the only voice, the only guy that knows, how that goes. Who are you seeing? Are you seeing some of these guys that you're like, okay, they're really starting to get it now? Like they're starting to pick this up.
Yeah, I see a couple of guys. Shai's one of them. Darius Bazley, he's getting it. Kenrich, he's getting it. It's a lot of guys that's starting to figure it out. Josh, he's starting to figure it out. So it's a process. We all got to go through it. When you're a rookie, young player, you got to go through it. You got to learn the game, learn yourself. So, but I think they starting to get it now. J-Rob too. He's starting to get it.
Derrick, when I got to the latter stages of my career, I found myself trying to help the young guys, but I also realized too, well, you got a lot more basketball left in you than I did when I was in year 12 and 13. How do you balance that where you're saying, all right, I'm going to try to help you, young fella, but at the same time you realize too, you got to do your thing as well.
I think it's one of those things where, you can tell them enough, but don't tell them everything. Not just yet, because like you say, you still got to, I still got a job too.
You got a lot of basketball left in you.
Right, but luckily for me, I had vets that did me that way. When I was a rookie, second, third year player, I had guys who was, 10, 11 years in, and they knew I was there to replace them, and they didn't, treat me any kind of way. They came in, they helped me out, they showed me things. They didn't tell me everything, but they showed me stuff, they taught me stuff, and I just do the same with them. The guys come up and ask me questions, I give them my best answer, my best opinion of it. But, I still got my job to do, too. Not in a selfish way.
Right.
But, no, I still try to help guys out as much as I can.
Do you find yourself going up to them, or you wait for them to come to you, or you just kind of look at their face and look, I can see he's struggling, I need to go pat him on the back?
It's kind of in the middle, because sometimes you have to, they have to learn themselves.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to just walk up to them and just tell them stuff every time. But, most of the time they come up and ask me, too. So, and during the game and during practices, if I see they struggling with something or if I see they need some advice, I just walk up to them and just tell them what I need to tell them.
and they listen, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
And we just move forward with that.
Any shout out to those veterans, man? Because
I had like Al Jefferson.
Okay.
Okay. Earl Watson, Paul Millsap. Those guys.
All solid guys.
Yeah, help me out. Solid guys. Help me out.
Yeah. You just returning the favor.
Yeah, just paying it forward like they did for me.
Yeah.
Such a valuable presence in this Thunder locker room, and we are so excited to see you out on the floor this season.
Appreciate it.
Babe,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
It's great to see you. Enjoy the rest of Media Day.
You can hand
From
off to
one vet
Mike
to
Muscala.
another. Derrick Favors handing off the mic to Mike Muscala.
The assist.
The assist. That's right. Mike
Hey,
Muscala
guys.
joining
Hey,
us
Mike.
now.
What's up, Mike?
You look great, man.
Thanks.
Look at
Likewise.
that.
A little
haircut, high and tight.
Yeah, great clips yesterday in Minnesota.
Shout out Great Clips.
Shout out Great Clips. It was great.
It was great. Mike, how has your off season been? We were just talking to Derrick about this. Felt like a really long off season, right? Got a chance to do a lot of different things. What did off season look like for you?
Yeah, it was a long off season because I had surgery in March, so I was home for most of that. Just doing a lot of rehab training, spending time with friends and family, so it was good. Yeah.
Mike, congrats on recommitting to the Thunder again, and just your thoughts on continuing this journey here in OKC. And obviously, it's been such a special place for the team and you and the city.
Yeah, thanks. We got some clapping going on over here.
Yeah,
You can feel the energy. Yeah, that's how I feel too. I'm just excited. It was a lot of rehab in this summer, just getting back to a point where I could get back on the court. So I'm just feeling grateful for that.
How are you feeling right now after going through all the rehab this off season and heading into training camp now?
I'm feeling good. It was a different off season for me than usual. So, but just embracing that. I've been hitting the game ready, ice tubs, every day, just trying to keep that swelling down. But it's in a good spot. The training staff here has been super supportive and helpful with that. So I'm feeling good.
You got a chance to connect with the team multiple times this offseason, whether it was going to Summer League and seeing the guys in Las Vegas, or it looked like you took a trip to Montreal too, saw Luguentz Dort. Yeah.
Beautiful city.
What was that like, seeing these guys and connecting with them during the offseason?
It was fun. Everyone kind of, just people from all over, obviously. So getting in to see Lou in Montreal was the highlight for me. Just beautiful city. He's running a camp there. And he had a bunch of kids there at a gym that he used to play at growing up. So that was a highlight. That was fun.
Muskie, I feel like you could, and maybe this is just me in my recollection as a broadcaster, but I feel like you could give a clinic on staying vertical in the lane. Am I off on that? I mean, I feel like you have a really good grasp.
It's textbook.
From a basketball standpoint on staying vertical and not fouling. Am I off on that?
We used to do it, we used to practice that in Atlanta when I played for Coach Budenholzer. So shout out to them.
And it's stuck.
Apparently, yeah, I guess, yeah. It's so tempting to kind of reach down sometimes and try to slap at it, but we would practice that, yeah. And can I just say, by the way, when I was, during had this surgery and I was watching from home, it was
You're
a
helping
perspective.
you take naps?
I would take naps, but to watch your guys' broadcast, y'all do a great job. So thanks. It was fun. I mean, I never got to watch it, obviously.
Because these two over here never compliment us.
Good job, guys.
And y'all do a great job too. But I just want to say, as a team, you guys do a great job. So
appreciate that.
Mike, I asked Fave the same question. I want to ask you: is when you what's the balance between being a veteran on a team, because you got a lot of basketball left in you, and then being that voice to the younger players because you're playing with a younger team. Now Favors talked about a few guys that helped him in year 1 and 2 when he was a rookie and second-year player. If you could tell us if you're comfortable mentioning a few names, but what's the balance between being a player like you are and helping the young guys on the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance, right? I mean, when I was young, it was Al Horford, Elton Brand, Kyle Korver, those guys when I was in Atlanta. So I was fortunate to play with some great vets like that, and you hit out on them. You still got to be, you're a player and you got to be ready to play. And I think seeing from Al, he was just so lead by example, and he didn't say much, but it's almost like you respected him more for that because he was about his business. You know what I'm saying? He became Paul Millsap, another guy I got to play with, and they were so consistent with their work ethic. And it's like you see that day in and day out, and you gain their respect because they're not just talking it; they're living it, and they're doing it, and they're doing it every night. So that's the biggest thing I learned from them.
Mike, can we talk a little bit about this team that's heading into this training camp this season? A lot of young guys, obviously, but a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things, a lot of potential in front of them. What excites you about this group heading into training camp?
Yeah, you hit on it too. I mean, just the versatility, the playmaking that they have, good length, but there's a lot of guys that can make plays that are versatile. and that are talented and young and that can get out and run and play athletically and share the ball. So it'll be fun.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Another media day in the books for
Yep.
you, and we are very, very excited about getting this group together. And it's a week away, your first preseason game, so
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys are getting fired up too.
Yeah, it's good to see y'all. Thanks.
Great to see you, Mike. Thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. That's Mike Muscala joining us here at the Thunder's Media Day. Guys, it has been an action-packed day, talking to players, seeing these guys, and the thing that stood out to me the most was the family reunion aspect of it. That just goes to show the camaraderie, the chemistry, and the character that this group has.
We think about, our Thunder fans, they get to hang out with these guys 82 nights a year, and they get to hang out on our Bally Sports Oklahoma broadcast with them. And so this is the first day of getting these guys back together, and every other night for the next 6 months, you're going to be hanging out with these guys, and that is a really exciting prospect.
Well, it's interesting, and I think Jeremiah Robinson-Earl kind of touched on it. These guys are in the same stages of their careers. A lot of them are, being such a young team, and that allows them to find that common ground and come together, and it's only going to come together more as they play more often and get those shared experiences that we heard so often from Mark Daigneault last year.
Well, and Lindy Waters talked about, too, how competitive they are, and they're all around the same skill sets in terms of what they can do, multi-talented, multi-positional players. And, there's an old thing that says, iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
I think this whole group is going to sharpen each other from the start of tomorrow all the way to the end of the season.
And it starts quick. We talked about the preseason schedule, that first preseason game, just a week away. And then after that, October, they hit the ground running. Take a look at this October schedule right here. A lot of Timberwolves up really quickly and a lot of Clippers, guys, immediately. That first game is going to be away at the Timberwolves on October 19th. And that first home game, again, against Minnesota on October 23rd. A lot of chances to see these guys in action in that first week of October. Nick, I got to ask you, that is a stacked schedule right out of the gates. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of these series where you're going to play the same team pretty close in proximity to one another, and you think about going on the road, that new look Timberwolves team, and then coming home. Fans, you can still buy tickets to these home games at Paycom Center. Go to okcthunder.com/buy tickets, and you're going to want to see this young Thunder group go up against some of the best in the league. And then, as we've talked about with these guys, Chris, Michael, they are going to come at them from a competitive standpoint, night in and night out. We don't know what the outcomes are going to be. You can burn those assumptions, right, guys? But they're going to come after them in terms of that competitive fire.
Well, I think the West is going to be good. I think the league as a whole, Michael, is pretty good top to bottom, and there's no nights off. No. There's absolutely no nights off, and it's going to start quick.
Well, that first week of the season, man, that's a monster of a schedule that starts a monster of a schedule. You look at how, the Clippers, with Kawhi Leonard healthy, Paul George healthy, you got them twice, all right? And you got Minnesota Timberwolves, who was a playoff team, a very good playoff team. You got them twice in the schedule, and you finish out the week with Dallas, who's talking about championships. So, yeah, that's a lot. You certainly want to be there to watch that because it's going to be a really big challenge and somewhat of a sample size measuring stick. I don't know if it's a big one for this team because these are all teams that are at a different level, but I tell you one thing, it's going to make for some interesting basketball.
And some exciting basketball. A lot of young talent on this team and a lot of energy going to be here inside of Paycom Center this season. So we want to thank you so much for joining us in this Media Day live stream. Thank you so much for watching, helping us set the stage for this 2022-23 Thunder basketball season. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Thunder Basketball Universe live stream presented by COOP Ale Works. Be sure, if you're not already, to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to check out the podcast on YouTube as well. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.